Hey guys, Sean here, and welcome to the Wednesday Waffle. Have we got a conversation for you tonight? We're talking about Flavio Briatore, everyone's favourite cheating uncle. Yes, I've seen you in chat. Don't talk about him, don't give him the air and all this, but sometimes it's nice to just talk about Flavio and be quite rude, generally. I'm not like that, I promise. I've also got with me my favourite person in the world today. If it works, there we go. It's Jonty. Hello, Jonty, mate. How are you doing? Shaky start, but we're nearly there. We can't hear you, Jonty.
Can you hear me now?
I can. Did you unmute yourself?
It's
amazing what that'll do.
I thought I had it muted, and then it wasn't muted, and then I muted myself.
Been there.
That's a good start.
Yeah, great start. It's a Wednesday. We don't mind. These are supposed to be relaxed, and we've got technical difficulties. This is where to do them.
What do you mean, favourite person in the world today?
Well, because you're on the stream, I can't not say it to Stuart when he's on. He'll get upset, and then we're in a right trouble, aren't we? So we'll come to the topic. We're going to talk about the idea of 24 sprints. Lol. Actually, before we do that, Jonty, I'll start the stream right off with that before we properly discuss it. Do you think we should go to 24 sprints in F1?
No.
That is it then for this stream. Thank you so much for everybody. I'm joking. I am only joking. Yes, we're not ending it there. Sorry. Clip it up. We'll say hello to everyone in chat and then we'll get to the conversation. We'll talk about the sprints. We'll talk about some stuff actually that you guys pointed out in the post that I put out about the rule changes for this year and the issues with manufacturers that the FIA have spoken about. So got some quotes there. Also got some of your questions picked out as well, and we'll go back to the community post. But keep your questions coming in chat. We'll answer them throughout, but we'll do some shout outs before we go any further. So hey to Red Raven, as always, says Flavio Briatore, that old crook. If he wants something, then usually the opposite is the best choice. Looking forward to the stream. David says giving airtime to Flavio Cheatatore, I like that, is beneath anyone. Thank you as well, David, so much for becoming a supporter, a member on the channel. Really appreciate your support as always, mate. Thank you. And yes, it will be able to help me quit my summer job, which is one more week after this week. I've just realised that's... Anyway, doesn't matter. Hey to Anthony says, hey, my topic was chosen. Yes, mate, I was going to give you the shout out for that one, but I've done it. There you go. Marta pressed yes in a poll. Didn't mean to, but we'll defend it somehow. Looking forward to that, Marta. Hey to Jack says, rule of thumb when Flavio wants what he wants is the opposite of what everyone needs. Hey to Michael says, good afternoon, Sean. Of course, that they want sprints or the races. Never saw that coming. Right, that's part of my moan later. Hey to Rocket Raccoon King Gannon says, howdy all. Sending love to the chat from the Lone Star State, like always. Hope you, Sean, Jonty, and Stuart are doing good. Thank you very much, mate. Professional Moron, evening one and all. Hey to you, mate. Hey to Warner's End, says evening all. And hello to Thomas. Says no. The Office voice. I've never watched The Office, so I hope that was close. John's in chat as well, but he's also here, so that's okay. Let's kick off with that then. Let's just get straight into this sprint conversation. Now, I'm going to lie to you now. I don't like saying I told you so. I absolutely do. It's one of my favourite things. But when they announced sprints all those years ago, which wasn't that long ago, but feels like it, they said they're just a trial. I said that's BS. They then said it would only ever be 3. I said that was BS. They then moved it to 6. I said that was BS. They then said that they would not go any higher than that, and they maybe go to 10, but they don't want any more than that. That's nonsense. I said from day one, we will end up with sprints every weekend or almost every weekend, because once they've started this, they're not going to give up that revenue, are they? That commercial benefit of having 3 days of action, as they call it. They were never going to give that up. So we knew it was coming. Flavio Briatore was asked, well, actually, it was in an article by The Race, which I don't know if you've read the full article, Jonty, but it really... And maybe they have, but it feels like whoever put that together just copy and pasted a transcript and stuck it in, because some of it is really quite poorly worded. But there you go. Was asked, where do you see the growth in Formula One coming from? Where do you see it's grown massively? Now, he's obviously touched on the United States. He's talked about Rwanda want to race, Singapore to Bangkok. Everyone's wanting a race in Formula One these days. Incredibly demanding. Also said, which I love, Stefano has done a good job. Then talks about F1 being all about the race and look at it like football. You know, the World Cup stadiums were full. Let's not talk about football and the World Cup today. That could take 3 hours. And then he says, A few other bits worth picking out. We'll get to that later. But he says, I don't know if you tell me how big it's grown from now to the future. We need to change a bit the race as well. I believe we need to do the sprints. If it was me, I'd do every race because we need to give something more to the spectator. And this line annoys me because we do nothing for the spectator. Isn't turning up 24 races a year and racing something for the spectator? Is that not the point? Before we go any further, Jonty, surely the spectator wants to watch the racing, and that's what they do, right?
Yeah, that's kind of the point of them turning up in the first place. It's that's the stupidest thing he's said in a long time.
And that's
really
quite
something.
That's quite the achievement. But yeah, he then gets into sprints a bit more. He says, we do nothing for the spectator. Friday morning is only technical. Then he says, and this is how it was worded in the race, you go 2 laps, you come back and the people, okay. Well, you do more than 2 laps on a Friday. There's 2 practice sessions and you do lots of laps. But anyway, after Saturday in the morning, after you have the qualifying and then it's finito, you have the race. With the sprint race, at least you have 2 races, 2 starts, and the driver is driving for something. Pause for a second again. I was going to wait for a little bit to get into this. Yes, drivers 1 to 8 are driving for something. 9 to 22 are driving for sod all but testing because there's no reward for it, no points for it, no advantage in the championship. If you finish ahead of a rival in 15th place, it means nothing. That's why we see cars coming into the pits after a handful of laps, putting on a different set of tyres, and then pitting 6 times. I think Albon did it a few weeks ago in one of the sprints, just kept pitting, made lots of stops, did a load of testing. So they're not all driving for something. He's not driving only for the engineering, and then says, and for me, we need to have the sprint race. For me, 24 races, 24 sprint races. Before I go off on one, anything to say to that, Jonty, just on what I've read there before we really dig into why 24 sprints is commercially sensible, but from a race fan's point of view, stupid. Spoiler alert.
It's just nonsense. The points that he's making there are literally lies. They really are. And contradict everything we know about sprints. You know, the sprints need... There is a point of the sprints need to have a point to them. But to say that they're never driving for something without a sprint is ridiculous. It really is, because even practice, sort of for the midfield and lower teams, carries more weight than the sprints. I mean, look at how many times we've seen countbacks of someone finishing 11th rather than 12th means this team gets 9th in the constructors and an extra $5 million or whatever it is. Does 9th in a sprint do that?
No. Nope.
But qualifying, if there's enough things tied for a countback, qualifying comes into the equation. Even practice can come into the equation. We know that practice can come into the equation if there's a completely called off qualifying. Times will be taken from that. Will it be taken from the sprint? No. It's just a thing that's there. And if there was more to it, they would be worth having. They really would, in my opinion.
I think...
But they're just not.
No, I think this has been kind of our point all along. They've not... And people do disagree on this, and Martin Brundle will go, well, it's better than a practice session. Well, yes, so it's having a shit most mornings. But anyway, it's one of those things where we've always said it doesn't really take anything away from the weekend, but it doesn't really add anything.
Yeah.
And that's kind of, there's no point adding things if they don't add to the spectacle, the show, the WWF1 or whatever they want to turn it into. But it just doesn't really do anything. And the way it's formatted as well, we've always had a problem with the formatting of it. It's needed tweaking from day one. But qualifying, am I the only one that finds sprint qualifying one of the most anticlimactic sessions we can have? Because everyone burns their tyres out in the first part of the qualifying session because they can only do one set of tyres, and so they can't really improve their lap. So it all just ends up being you waiting for the clock to tick down to 0. I just find them anticlimactic, and I think they're rubbish. And I think the sprint races can be fun, but you have to pick the right track. Somewhere like Austria, somewhere like Interlagos, they were almost made for the sprints, or the sprints were made for them. But 24 sprints a year means a sprint in Monaco. Woohoo! What a great idea, Flav. Although, one positive to sprint in Monaco, we do get 2 qualifying sessions in Monaco, which is a benefit, I suppose. But yeah, no, I think it's... And you're right, a lot of what he said there doesn't even make sense. I mean, you don't just do 2 laps in practice and then that's it. You're going around all day. Practice is, and to pick up on your point, and I did mention it earlier, you said there, practice is so important for the smaller teams versus the top teams, and that's shown by the fact the smaller teams will often sacrifice the sprint and just do testing for the race in that. So what's the point? So I mean, it just, I don't mind them. Do you know, I probably wouldn't even mind them at half the races, to be honest, in their current form. That's fine, but at every race of a 24 race season, 48 races a year, oh, that's a lot for any Formula One fan. I don't care how much you love the sport. That's a lot.
Yeah, the tracks are completely wrong. Like you said, some tracks really are made for it, but some really, really are not. Sprints at Spa, Silverstone, 2 of the longest tracks we have, doesn't work. The whole point of a sprint is they're meant to be absolutely foot to the floor the entire time. No worries about tyres or anything, just full-on race. They can't do that at Spa in Silverstone when they bring the softer tyres where they're trying to make the main race better, and then the sprint, the tyres are burnt out in 20 minutes. They counteract each other. Maybe they need, but they can't then bring harder tyres so they can just attack a sprint all the way, because it goes against the whole point of having these limited sets of tyres in the first place. It's greener, they don't have to spend as much energy hauling hundreds of extra pointless tyres around, which they do anyway with the wets, but never mind. It's every single thing about these, like I said, they just contradicts all the time, unless you really do something with it and give it a reason. Give them more points. Is it 12 for the win in F2?
Yeah, something like that, yeah.
12, 10, 8. Just have it a little bit more than that. Just remove the points of first and second, bump them all up a bit more. So it's 15, 12, 10. There's actually a reason to come second rather than third rather than fourth. It's still only a 1 point gap for sort of like 6th, 7th, 8th. But the other places, there is actually a bit more to it. It could actually make a point to the championships, whereas at the moment it doesn't really seem to. I know last year came down to 2 points. Was it between Max and Lando?
Yeah.
Max had done really well in the sprints anyway. It didn't really make a difference.
No, I agree on the points. I mean, I'd probably argue as a template, just do the points down to 10th place and say a roughly half what you get in the Grand Prix, but to avoid half points, round as necessary. So 12 for the win, 10 for second, 8 for third, and then down to 10th place or something like that would be better, because at least then, because why is 10th place? And I know the Grand Prix is supposed to hold more prestige. I get that's maybe why they're doing it, but 10th place on a Saturday means nothing, but on a Sunday it means you get a point. So you've got somebody like Alex Albon finishes 10th on Saturday. Yes, we're top 10. Oh, but we get nothing for it. Whereas 10th on Saturday, you get a point. So I just, they sort of, when they first brought them in, they didn't want to take away from the main race, did they? The Grand Prix on Sunday. So they ended up in this sort of really stupid middle ground, trying to keep everybody happy. And then they've sort of built from there, rather than going, do you know what, actually, the Grand Prix is... most people are still going to watch the Grand Prix if they watch the sprint, right? The Grand Prix is still going to be prestigious. It's still going to be the race of the weekend. I think that's fair to say. So I don't see why we have to worry about protecting that. So why can't we award more points? If we're going to do them, award more points. Or even... and it is, one of the big things that people talk about a lot is maybe turning it into its own championship, maybe using young drivers, test drivers, reserve drivers, that sort of thing. I like the idea of that, but when you start to work out the logistics around it, who's going to get the extra car? Who's going to give up their car for the weekend? Do we need a third car? Do we need more tyres? What if one of your junior drivers smashes the car up in Monaco at a sprint, and then your main driver going for the championship hasn't got their car on Sunday because it couldn't get fixed or whatever? There's too many logistics in that, so I don't think it'll happen. But I think there are changes that need to happen, and I agree the pointing system is probably the first one. The second thing, again, I think sprint qualifying needs to change, and I was pondering this before we went live. I've often floated the idea of one-shot quali, and a lot of people have gone, no, we can't do that because if it rains at the end of the session, then this person loses out. Well, I'm afraid my old hat opinion is tough. Them's the breaks. Another weekend, it'll go your way. But what about adapting slightly what we used to have, going back a long way now, Jonty? Oh, very long way. But 1 hour, 12 laps, which was 4 runs. Why don't we do 45 minutes for qualifying and give them 9 laps, and they can use whatever tyres they want, they can go out when they want, and just at least it's different to, because they've tried to make it different to normal quali, but they've made it anticlimactic and not something I particularly enjoy. So let's have something completely different to that. Why not?
Yeah, I'd say that's fair.
Yeah,
because the current, it's worse in the sprint quali because it's so much shorter. I mean, it needs to be shorter, but a bit too short. But with normal quali, like, it's great that we get those 10 fighting out for pole. The times all get quicker. But there is a slight drop in the action compared to that system we used to have, because it always just it ramped up more and more and more until everyone was out at the end, all trying to do their fastest lap with the track evolution and whatnot. It did cause a lot of problems. That's why we ended up with different qualifying sessions, because there was just too many people all at once. We also had 26 cars in the field most of the time, but that's beside the point. So yeah, just do something different. There's no reason to not do something different just for the sake of them being different. People want the variety. That's why we go to all these different tracks. It's why we have, street tracks, splits between the two, permanent circuits. Well, F1 doesn't have a Roval anymore. It should. There's nothing wrong with the Indy road course. It's a different argument. just do something different, for God's sake.
I
mean, even it would take more time, and I get that more time in the slot on the day is difficult. But do a hybrid of the current qualifying system and one shot. Everyone does 1 lap. The slowest 6, out you go. Everyone does 1 lap. Slowest 6, out you go. Everyone does 1 lap. It would take a bit longer, like for the sprint. It'll probably take about an hour and a half. But then it's more action, but people will complain, oh, it's only one car on track at the time. In normal qualifying, how many do you get absolutely fighting for the front row at the exact same time at any moment? 3? Spread out around the track at best.
And
if you're there at the circuit, it's still just 1, effectively.
Yeah.
Because you see that one go past, and then you wait 30 seconds, there's another one.
Yeah.
It's not difficult to time it right.
And like I say, if you watch it on TV, you're only watching 1 car at a time. Maybe you'll get a picture-in-picture, so it doesn't change much. But just do something different to qualifying. But in terms of the and the points as well. But in terms of where's your maximum, Jonty, for sprints? Where I've said I could probably stomach half the season, maybe every other weekend, except for the season finale would be my thing, really. But what's your limit for sprints?
I think it varies, to be quite honest. I think Sema Dragon in the chat has made a really good point of races where they don't have support category, when there's no F2 and F3. Do all of them, then you've got more on-track action, so the ticket price is worth the same as the others when they've got all the supports. That makes a lot of sense.
More time as well to build around if accidents happen or the rain hits or anything like that, Yeah,
and also, they could, in that situation, actually have a slightly bigger gap of time between the sessions.
Yeah.
Just in case there is issues and damage that they may have to deal with. because that's one of the problems with the sprint races right now, is that, again, half the field isn't really pushing or going for it because they know they're going to get nothing. So why risk damaging the car when you've got an hour and a half to repair it before qualifying?
Yeah, you can take
You're
more risks.
proper
Yeah,
qualifying.
exactly. Yeah.
If they've got 3 hours, they might go for it a bit harder.
I mean, I do tend to agree with what people have said. If Flav says we need something, then do the opposite. I do tend to agree with that. But at the same time,
it is a reasonable position.
Yeah, but I also think that the reason why it's talk about it is because I think he raises a very good question. We've had the sprints for a while now, and I think people like me who were very much against them in the way they were introduced. We were all for sprints in. I think we said, actually, why aren't we trialing them in 2020? With hindsight, with hindsight, I guess just getting the season on was hard enough without adding this extra format. But that we were all for. We were thinking reverse grids. We were thinking completely different format, and they came in and sort of half-arsed it and ended up stuck in this, like I said, this middle ground that nobody really wanted, and they've kind of built from there. So I think there's a lot of negative feeling towards them, but even I've softened towards them. But I don't know how much of that is because I enjoy them and how much of that is just because after a while you reach a point where you're like, well, there's nothing we can do about it, so put up or shut up, basically. It's kind of, do you know what I mean? You just let it get on with it. But I don't. We'll come to chat in a minute for some of your comments, and then we'll move on. But I could take half, but we can't have one in Monaco, and I wouldn't want one at the season finale either. That would be my 2 no's.
Yeah, season finale should be focused on the main race, because it could detract from it. Say there's like that outside chance of a championship rival being able to take it at the last race. What would the point in that be if, like, they have a shocker during the sprint and then they don't have a chance? So it's just a parade race because no one can actually win the title. It's already done. I mean, a lot of the time the title's done before the end. It's pretty common that the title's done and dusted before we get to the last race, but there's no reason to just remove that chance of, a proper showdown. And we have seen that in previous years in the support formula. I think it was 22 or 3 in Formula 3, where it was decided in the pit lane. In fact, I think all 3 formulas were decided not on track because of like penalties or weirdness going on in the pit lane and races being cut short. So no one actually won the title on the track, which was weird as hell. It may well have been Drugovich. I can't remember. It was just odd. That's the kind of thing we definitely don't need. Yeah.
No. Yeah. I've got nothing really, other than what I say every weekend. I've got nothing really to add. I mean, I will say this. It's a point I always make, and it's one of my better points, so brace yourself. I know. Amazing. But it's... there's 2 problems there. The first one, I don't know if I want to say it, and the second one is, I don't remember what I was going to say. It was there. It was right there, and it just fell out my face. It'll come back to me. It will come back to me. But it's nothing really to add on sprints, full stop. I just, I think if we're keeping them, they need to be tweaked. If we are going to as many as 10, I think, is rumoured for next year, then I think we do need to consider qualifying changes for the following year. More points probably for the following year, because they could do certain things overnight, but not things that matter. But the idea of 24 is just, it's too much for me. And I think that I probably find that actually I would not watch every single one, which would be weird for me because I've not missed an F1 race live since the 2000 German Grand Prix, of all the races to miss. Jonty's not missed one since 1946.
No, I can't remember the last one I missed, actually. It was in the 90s. Know that. No, tell a lie. There would have been 3 years. 2003, 4, and 5. I would have missed Spa because I was at Reading Festival. It was usually used to be bank holiday weekend. I'd say that's a reasonable way to miss it.
Better than mine. Better than the reason I missed mine. I went to Cleethorpes for Party at the Pier or Party on the Pier to go and see Billie Piper, or Billy as she was then. I loved Billie Piper, still do. She's great. 5, A1, and some tribute acts.
And why did you do that? Why did you go to that, Sean? Because you want to.
Hey, very good. Anyway, let's keep on moving.
I think one person in the chat's probably going to get that.
It's a classic song. It's a classic. I'm trying to wrap my brain for what I was going to say, and I can't remember what I was going to say. So I'm probably just going to leave it there. And then midway through the next thing we talk about, I'll go, oh, by the way, it's come back to me. But let's see what you're saying in chat first before we roll on. Let's see. So, Clansome. Hey, Clansome. It's a sprint every weekend for its own competition. The poll speaks volumes. Yes, we'll close that in a minute. Yeah, it does. It absolutely does. Anthony says, won't somebody please think of the children? Fair enough. CPB doesn't blame Max for wanting to leave anymore. Lol. We've read some from Sema or Sema Dragon. Kevin says, Sean and Jonty not on a race weekend. I know, mate. Enjoy it because I won't be back until Zandvoort, but more on that later. Rocket Raccoon says sprints definitely do not belong at every weekend. I will read this from Sema Dragon. Actually, it's a very good point. Lewis won a sprint for Ferrari. No one gave a damn because it was a sprint. Exactly. Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah. It's second or third race for Ferrari? Second, wasn't it?
Yeah, no.
China.
Yeah, no, it would have been China. Yeah.
China.
Second or third, yeah. It was somewhere around there.
No one cared.
Yeah. Not that it really was any good for the rest.
It didn't make much difference for the year, but yeah.
No. Thomas says, did they increase the free practice in sprint weekends to 90 minutes, or was it just whenever the first one was this year? I remember they had one with 90 minutes. So they haven't extended. I think they did one with, I think you're right, they did one with 90 minutes. They haven't, that was for, I think, Miami, because they'd had that 5-week break and then they were back for a sprint weekend, so they gave them more time. But they have now got the added time thing on sprint weekends in practice, because apparently it's really difficult to stop a clock. They stop the clock in qualifying when we get a red flag, but if you get a red flag in practice, they have to add the time on because they can't just, stop the clock. Saving everyone the hassle, but there you go. 5 laps of Spa sprint race, says Kevin. Reverse grid sprints, let's bloody do it, says Professional Moron. Yeah. I think in Formula 1 now, I'd want to see the whole grid reversed, not just the top 10, just for the chaos.
That would be a bit too crazy.
No.
But I think the reverse top 10, the same as we do for the Sports Series, would work. Because you've still got that real challenge for the ones who are qualifying up the front. And it gives extra incentive for the midfield to push for that 9th, 10th, get on the front row.
Harder to rig a top 10 as well, isn't it? Because you could put yourself on pole by just being really slow in sprint quali, and then you qualify 22nd and then you start first. So an Antonelli or a Hamilton or Russell could do that. But if it's top 10, it's harder to do. So that's a good point to throw in there.
Yeah,
since I can't think of any other one.
Take something like, well, it's hard to say this year because they all seem to be bloody chopping and changing.
Yeah,
but the first half of the year, take the McLarens. Who are sort of the 5th, 6th place guys. If they tried to just, we'll back off a little bit, try to get that 10th place, and then they accidentally end up 12th, they're knackered then. That would really cause them problems.
Kevin says the sprints need to impact the race starting positions. Kevin also needs to get out. No, Kevin. Bad Kevin. We're not having that.
No, that was the worst thing they ever did with the sprints. That was such a stupid idea. It was just a day-long red flag.
Basically. Yeah. I hate the sprints, says Sighted Canvas. It should be for reverse drivers. Let them get F1 experience. Let the main drivers do the full race. Kevin does say hates the forced tyre choice thing. I agree. Let everyone use the tyre they want. If they can go to the whole race without stopping, fine. It's the qualifying forced tyres that bother me. Medium tyres in qualifying. other than a strategical choice or a clever play by teams, I don't see the point. Yeah, just. I mean, I don't even agree with the reduced tyre allocation for sprint weekends either, because they say we get less track time, but you don't really. In terms of literal time, you probably do, but you've still got practice, quali, sprint, qualifying, race, and on a normal weekend, you've got practice, qualifying. So it's 5 sessions. Either way, it's 5 sessions.
You've got more tyre damaging track time in a sprint weekend. Because you have 4 sessions of the tyres being attacked.
Yeah.
You don't have that on a normal weekend. Certainly not in FP2.
A couple of people have mentioned Formula E quali. I might have to open it up to you, Jonty, because I have no idea what they do now for qualifying.
I can't remember fully how the whole format works, but they end up in duels.
Okay.
It basically ends up as a knockout bracket. I think they do a regular quali and then it's like the top 8. Help me, chat. Is it the top 8 that go into a knockout bracket? Can't be sure. That would be really fun. Because they do them sort of both at the same time with a half lap difference. So you can see the times sort of almost in real time. It's great.
Apparently it's the top 8,
just something different. Yeah, I mean, I always refer to IndyCar, like they have different qualifying formats for the different races. You know, the Indy 500 has got something completely different to everything else. The short ovals usually do a 2-lap speed average. They also use a different finish line. This is a really good thing that they could actually look at adopting. I know that a lot of the diehards would complain, oh, it's not the full lap, the last corner is the most important, blah, blah, blah. But it keeps things moving along nicely, how there's a finish line before the pit in. So that's where your time's taken, and then you go straight in the pits, no cool down lap. It keeps the track much cleaner, much easier for teams to read, and keeps more action flowing. But I may be in the minority with that opinion.
Red Ravers made a very good point in chat as well, Jonty. Says, the world's more than just F1 and we are reaching the point of diminishing returns. Same as in football, always more matches and more, and it devalues the product. Absolutely.
Yeah. I've been feeling that for quite some time, I'll be honest.
Same.
Because, here we go, old man again. I can remember when there was a lot more excitement building up to each race when there was only 17, 18 at most in the calendar. I know that's going all the way back to the mid-noughties now. But when there was frequently a 3-week gap, usually a 2-week gap, the back-to-backs were incredibly rare. And it really felt like each one was an occasion. And then you look to this year with the replacements possibly coming in, we could finish the season with 7 races in 9 weeks. 20's the right amount.
I don't know how much of it is because I do this now. Hopefully forever, but we'll see.
Yeah, you want more. You want one every week.
I kind of do, but also, I don't know if it's because I do this, but when we haven't got an F1 race, I enjoy that weekend more. And growing up, I enjoyed F1 weekends more because there were fewer of them. I mean, you say the 2-3 week gap. Don't forget, didn't we used to have like a race, maybe 2, and then a massive 5-week gap because they'd all go off testing again. And we still, we'd only have 17 races. We still get to October, November in a season because they were spaced out properly. Whereas you've got this grueling, and don't get me wrong, I'm so happy Sepang is back. I did a dance and everything when it was confirmed. I was so happy. I said, Jonty messaged like, constantly just going mad about it. I was so pleased. But we've got Baku to Malaysia to Singapore in 3 weeks. That is grueling for anybody. And I'll be honest, I'm not thinking about the drivers. They're paid a lot of money. They're racing drivers. They're fit. They can get on with it. That's what they're there for.
Thinking about the teams.
It's the teams, and because they don't, when a checkered flag falls, they don't stop. They don't have to go to a press conference and go home or whatever. They've got to take the garage apart and take the cars apart, and then they move on to the next one. It's so grueling, and I think when you're at a point where you've got to have 2 separate teams that alternate and switch around, I think you've probably gone too far. But I'm going to say it. Same with what I keep saying about the sprints. This whole will never go more than 24 is BS, because we were never going to go more than 20. We were never going to get to 22. We were never going to more than that. We will reach, I think, 26 races, and it'll effectively be one every week in a 50. And they won't actually space them out over 52 weeks, but it'll be one every other week effectively. 26 races. That's what I think they'll do.
Yeah.
And then 26 sprints, which is just going to be... That's a lot.
And it'll be 2030. It'll be 2030 when they do brand new engine regulations. It's a round number. They will do something different. Maybe a smaller hybrid split. Maybe they will go back to completely naturally aspirated or turbo without a battery. Unlikely, but they're desperate to keep the market at the moment, and they're not liking the pushback. And the pushback threatens the bottom line. And that's the most important thing to them, that number. Nothing else matters in real terms other than that number. Make number go up. The one with the funny S sign in front of it. That's all they actually care about.
And what else helps the money go up? More races, more sprint weekends, and there you go.
More sprints. Yeah, more sprints means they can charge more for those tickets because it's actual on-track action, not just practice. It means there's an actual competitive section on the Friday, so that ticket gets put up for the single days. It comes again. I wouldn't be completely against it, as we said. Just reiterating the point of if they meant something, and if they were different. If they were done differently, maybe with the reverse grids, maybe with a different qualifying, and definitely with more points. And as someone said, it could be its own championship. Maybe have it as its own championship, and then at the end of the year, your position in that championship gives you one race worth of points. So you finish first in the sprint championship, you get 25 points.
Yeah.
So maybe you're second overall coming into the last race, and you're, I don't know, 20 points behind. If you've got first in that sprint championship, you only need to come third instead of second, or something like that. You know what I mean? Just to mix things up.
Yeah. And I think, actually, we've sort of, this is a question for later, we've sort of inadvertently answered this. So I'm going to read this from at Surprises No, who put it in the post. Says, I'd love to hear your thoughts on how to fix, change, improve sprint races outside of them simply being a shorter Grand Prix. And then actually Surprises No said, I'd like to see it become more of a constructor-focused challenge that includes top 5 spots are rewarded points, 5-1 solely to the constructors. Podium drivers are rewarded 3-1. One mandatory pit stop at least with a tyre change. The team with fastest pit stop earns a constructor point, similar to the old fastest lap award. Bring back the fastest lap award for the sprint race only. And then some extreme ideas. All cars can participate in sprint quali. However, teams are limited to only running one of their 2 cars in the sprint itself, making the field smaller. The worst performing driver of the 2 team cars will be relegated to the sprint race. And then the other one was, depending on number of sprints, all drivers, including test drivers, must participate in an even number of sprint races, and that allows for younger test drivers to get in the car in lieu of less practice sessions. I thought I'd read that.
There was a lot of chopping and jumping around there. I can see what the point is. I do like the idea of a hell of a lot more team involvement and getting development drivers involved. But it seems that's even more convoluted than mine that I just said. But who's it? Sonic Canvas. Yeah. Do them at races that can have a different layout.
Secure. Outer loop.
Yeah. Paul Ricard, it can have 157.
Wow,
in 167. One of the stupid. There's lots of tracks that do actually have various layouts that F1 can use.
I mean,
do that.
Looking
Makes
at
it different.
looking at Surprise's nose comment now, I have an extreme idea of my own, and I will say before we move on now, very quickly, I do not back this, but why don't we just make the sprint races the Constructors' Championship?
Ooh.
Normal Grand Prix points, but they only go to the team, and then on a Sunday, all the points go to the driver, and then Martin Brundle can start, well, if a driver crashes, the team don't get the points back, or when an engine blows up, the driver don't get the points back, because it doesn't matter anymore. I'm not, no way would I go for that. I'm just saying, why not? And if Flavio's listening, we've had it, because he'll suggest that no to Stefano, won't he? And now we're in trouble, and it'll be my fault.
That's a really, really bad idea.
That you want to see.
But I also really like it because that's pure chaos energy. Because the teams will be like, you've got to push, you've got to get these positions. The drivers are like, screw you, I've got my championship to think about.
I'll go a nap, so I'm ready for tomorrow. We'll leave that comment, that topic there for today. I'm sure it'll get picked up again. I will come to you in chat shortly. I do just want to fly through this other point that was raised by a couple of people that I think is worth... Oh, I've tried to cut this down into small notes, but this might take a while. So here we go. Drivers.
Well, I'll put kettle on there.
Drivers have recently criticised the FIA for not anticipating the problems posed by the 2026 regulations, especially at Spa, where several drivers made remarks about how F1 had ended up in a situation where a classic track had lost its magic. We've all said that. Carlos Sainz, for example, said, whoever saw these simulations in 22 and 23 and didn't look at that and say, how can we even accept that, needs to review what happened there because it should have never happened. And Lewis Hamilton, I love this line, added, I don't know who made the decision, but whoever it is, they've still got their job, which is just a brilliant line. Governing body has said, though, that it knew the potential pitfalls well in advance, but that its attempts to head off the problems were derailed by resistance from manufacturers, Nicholas Tombassis, claiming the FIA's hands were tied by F1's governance process in being unable to force through rule tweaks that it wanted done in advance. So, for example, the race said last year there had been an attempt at the last minute to reduce maximum deployment in races to 200 kilowatts, but that was dismissed. And as part of all this agreement, an agreement was reached to look after the interests of both current and new manufacturers in the build-up to 26. A power unit advisory committee was set up, which dictated how rules could be changed. For a major rules tweak to be made, it required backing from the FIA, FOM, and 4 of the 5 manufacturers at the time. How are you ever getting that kind of agreement? You're not. Tombassis then said any change had to be approved by a significant number of the PU manufacturers, and so for the sort of changes we did, we needed at least 4 of them to agree. Quite simply, 4 of them did not agree, Audi, during the years when we discussed adjustments. So basically, they knew that the 2026 rules were going to be crap. We knew they were going to be crap, or have problems, sorry, to be fair. We knew that because the driver said so as soon as they got into simulators. The FIA couldn't do anything about it because they're hands were tied. The governing bodies' hands were tied. The people who make the rules, their hands were tied. You're not governing the sport very well then, are you, if you can't make changes that you can see need to be changed because 1 or 2 or 3 whatever teams or manufacturers throw the toys out the pram and won't come and play unless they get their way. It's
because money people say
exactly.
No.
It's so stupid. It really, really is. And I wanted to mention it because a few people mentioned it, like I say, and it was quite a big deal, I think. Probably the biggest story that's come out since then, and then Flav's comments as well. But for a quiet summer break, it was quite a thing to drop after Hungary. But it's also not that surprising because I think we'd sort of already heard rumours that people knew things needed to change, but there was no appetite for that change. And lines in here wanting to protect where are you to look after the interests of both current and new manufacturers in the build up to 2026. No, you don't look after the interests of manufacturers, you look after the interests of the sport. That is the point. If Audi don't like it, or Mercedes don't like it, then they can go race elsewhere. Would it be a loss to lose? Would it be a loss to lose Mercedes? Of course it would. Do we want to lose Ferrari? They're never going anywhere. But do we? No, we don't. But if they don't like it, go race somewhere else, because I guarantee you they'd be back in no time, like Honda do, like Renault do, with their Oliver Twist hat on and their bowl out going, please sir, can we have some more? And they'll really want to be back because that's what they do. So it's I'm bored of the conversation around the rules. They are. I will absolutely stand by this. They are better than they were in the first few races. I think the Miami tweaks did help, but then as soon as we got to tracks like Silverstone and Spa, and I'm watching onboards, it's almost, without being too dramatic, it kind of breaks my heart watching the cars doing what they were doing in Spa and Silverstone. So I think there is still potential there. I think a few more tweaks, maybe next year's tweaks, maybe the tweaks for 28 will make a difference. I think they can be salvaged, but at this point, they're not where they need to be still. And the FIA need to, quite frankly, grow some balls and actually govern the sport and stop, pouring buckets of water over people's head and stroking people's hair inappropriately in the Parc Ferme area and whatever. Just get on with governing the sport.
Can we not reference that again?
Prat, basically.
That was so weird. That was so weird.
Creepy uncle vibes. But I don't know if you've got anything you want to say, Jonty. It's not a massive surprise. Like I say, we kind of heard rumours about it anyway, but it's just frustrating to know that everybody was saying these need to be tweaked and manufacturers went, well, tough. Well, no, not tough.
Just kiss. It's been the driving principle of engineering for over a century.
Slogging.
Keep it simple, stupid. But they can fix this so easily. You measure how long a car is at full throttle on the longest straight. Say it's 9 seconds. And they have 9 megajoules of energy. Total energy that they can use in the battery in one go. So then you reduce the deployment to 1 megajoule per second. Then it's permanently accelerating until it has to brake. There is no running out halfway along the straight. It is still faster in a straight line than they were before. That's it. It's literally that simple, and it still hasn't been done, and it winds me up. It really does. It's so easy to fix. And then we can still keep the brilliant chassis we have now that the drivers actually have to drive. And it gets rid of the stupid, it's suddenly sparked a load of extra power halfway through a corner because the driver had to lift to control a slide. Just gets rid of all of that. It wouldn't be the first time I've got annoyed at F1 not keeping things simple to avoid the very obvious problem.
That everyone
when all they do is avoid the very obvious solution.
Yeah. I know he's poking fun. I will push back on Kevin a little bit, which sounded weird.
Yeah.
Kevin says, Sean, you were pretending the new rules were okay for the first 4 races. I went straight to hate after the first half race. I didn't say the rules were okay. I said they were better than expected, and they were better than we expected. We all thought it was going to be a disaster, but it was just above disaster. It wasn't quite the worst they could have possibly been. And I always maintained 4, 5, 6 races, especially given the difference in race tracks between Albert Park, Shanghai, Suzuka, whatever Miami is, and all of that. We couldn't be drawing definitive conclusions from it until we'd seen them at more varieties of track, because it was just impossible to really read it, because China was way better than Australia and nothing changed in the rules. But China still sucked. Japan wasn't great, but Miami was better, partly because of the tweaks, of course. So it was just impossible to really judge it. So I never said they were good. But, going back to George Russell's comments, I can't remember exactly, but he was saying they weren't great. Christian Horner was saying they weren't great. And if you've got George Russell and Christian Horner agreeing, then something ain't right. That's for sure. So I know you're only playing, Kevin, but I just thought I'd push back on that for anyone who might have the same thought, because somebody will.
See, Floods brings up the knockout qualifying, which is another example. It could have worked fine. Only thing that has to happen, if they're on a lap when the flag drops exactly the same as now, it counts. That's simple. And then it works. And it's probably more exciting than the current qualifying, which would be a pretty impressive thing. Because this is about the best qualifying system we've had. Just that simple little thing, it would have worked fine. No one thought of it.
Do you know, I tell you what I am worried about on the rules. Really concerned about, actually. Ben Sulayem, he wants V8s.
He is a reason to be concerned.
Yeah, with a small electrical element. manufacturers, some are saying yes, we're up for that, some are saying no, we're not, and my concern is what we're going to end up with is a bit like the sprints and a bit like the rules we have now, a kind of middle ground that works for nobody.
Yeah.
And it ends up being an absolute fustercluck again. I think I can't remember what where the governance changes, but he has said, the FIA Prez, he has said that when it comes to the rules for 2031, the manufacturers have no power, and while maybe legally they don't, whilst my argument is if you don't like it, leave, the FIA can't take that stance that I take, because I can make that statement because they're not going to listen to me and I have no control. If the FIA president does that and all the manufacturers walk away, he's going to go, crap. Who wants the engine out of my Vauxhall Astra? That'll have to do. And it will just so he's got to play the political game, but I don't want us to end up with some kind of middle ground that works for nobody, which is my big concern with what's coming up. And I know you're all going to go, Sean, it's 2026. Why are we talking about 2031? Because it only feels 5 minutes ago, Jonty, that we did that stream all the way back in 2017 talking about the 2021 rules. So it'll be here before you know it. That's all I'm saying.
It literally started this format. And it took us 4 years. It took us 5 years, because it eventually didn't come in till 22 for them to actually appear, which was hilarious. It's just, ugh. And Sighted Canvas, I am going to disagree. V8 is a racing engine, but not all racing engines should be V8s. All racing engines should be anything but V6. This is a personal bugbear. V6 is the most unpleasant engine note. The tone is just off. And I know it's an aesthetic complaint people have been making about these engines since 2014. But there is something to it, because F1 should be an absolute sort of blast on the senses. It should absolutely deafen you. I really don't now. I mean, they're still loud compared to your road car, but they're not for anything else. Not compared to other forms of racing. Like people get more deafened by the F2 than they do the F1. I mean, that's not right.
I tell you what,
any engine configuration is fine except V6, because it's just an unpleasant noise, no matter how loud it is.
You're right. The V6 is loud, but I tell you what, if you've ever been to Silverstone, I don't know if you've been to British Grand Prix weekend, Jonty, but when they do, they have the historic cars going round with their V10s and their V8s, and you're just like, the V6 is fine. Then you hear one of them and you go, oh my God. I mean, I can't ever hear anything ever again. I'm deaf. What? Are those new slacks and all that? Yeah. But it's still, it's so good. Yeah. So good.
Yeah. Yeah, Marta, it is, as Anthony says, it's about the resonance, the frequencies that you get from the engine, the firing sequence. There's various parts that it just makes this slightly unpleasant tone or note to it, where nothing else does. I mean, one of the nicest engine notes you'll get is, they call it a V5, but it's more of a VR5 because it's all with one single head in a block. It's fucking great noise. Even the VR6 from like the old Golf and Corrado days, lovely noise, because it's a slightly different configuration to a true V6. Even the angle can make a big difference. Flat 6 sounds awesome. I mean, if they were going to go smaller, give us a boxer flat 4. Yes, that's a really nice noise. Excuse me, I'm being howled at.
Yes, I'll just read some stuff from chat quickly, then we'll move on. So, Neelish says, I predict V8 turbos with hybrids that are between the 2014 and 2026 rules of strength. They'll have a 12k RPM red line to save costs and will thus sound like shite. Fair enough. Red Raven says, sorry to play devil's advocate here, but won't development automatically improve the racing automatically in years to come? Then says, and why exactly do I feel the need to overdo it with automatically today? It's like, you keep automatically, Red Raven, that's fine automatically, mate. Yeah, it should do, but in theory, I suppose, is the point there. Although it does tend to happen, doesn't it? It's very rare that it doesn't happen. So maybe one to discuss another day. Actually, that might be a really good topic for a stream on a Wednesday in the future. I'll try and remember that one. In fact, I'll copy it now.
If I had my way, every racing car in the world would have a quad rotor, same as a 787B. Chat. If you only watch Formula One, absolutely fine. Everyone's allowed to watch and like whatever they want. But if you like racing cars, just after the stream, go to YouTube and search for 787B flyby. That's the greatest engine you will ever hear in motorsport.
20 races, 5 sprint weekends. Great, let's do it, says Marta. 24 races, too much for me as well. I am sports tired most of the time. See, I get excited for the start of the Premier League, and then it's usually about October when I'm going, oh, are we there yet? It's a bit like the World Cup. Again, we're going to avoid that. Thank you to Connell for your super chat. Says, first time in a long time I'm watching while doing spreadsheets. A happy change, I must say. If they're going to make sprints a caution and make it special. Thank you very much, mate, for your super chat. Thanks for your support as well, actually, mate, just generally. And enjoy your spreadsheets. I do like a spreadsheet, I have to admit. Stuart has taught me a constant, going to make sprints a constant and make it special. Stuart's sent me some spreadsheets in the past for me to use for my working out averages of times between drivers in qualifying, which is really cool to use. So, hey to MSC Bilus. The V6 is not pleasurable for the year. We've heard that one. Get rid of all sprints, says Trance. I'll take a Porsche flat V6, flat 6 any day. I also prefer turbo V6 or inline 6 engines over V8s. Lighter, more efficient, and just as fast as the V8s. And one more. What I'll do is I'll read one more, then we'll do the thing that Jonty wants to do to me, which again sounds really, really bad for a live stream.
It's super simple and easy.
But we're going to do that, and then I'm going to come to just Q&A. I've got some quick fire ones written down, and we'll come to you in chat, so get your questions saved up. In fact, I'll let Jonty speak, and then we'll do that. Go for it, Jonty.
Yeah, no, just replying to Trance, because it's a fair one to raise, saying, nope, greatest engine is the Porsche V10 from the 917. That could be a fun stream, actually. I don't know if you could make it work, if you could have a box for a video to go in that we can both watch at the same time and chat can hear, where we could just do a stream bringing up different race car engines, seeing which one everyone likes the best. Do it all together as a group. That could be a lot of fun.
That's one for your Jonty and Sean Reacts channel. There you go.
Yeah, actually. Yeah. We'll do that next week. Not on Wednesday. Wednesday's reserved for this channel.
This channel only. Right, go on then, Jonty. The stream is all yours.
Oh yeah,
I need to
now. I need to open my bloody spreadsheet. No, it's super simple. I'm sure everyone in chat's seen this done on countless channels. Just all the football guys have winner stays on. F1 deserves it. So sure, Sean, why you want to be right back?
I had an itchy nose and I didn't want to sneeze on stream. Honest.
Right. And chat, you can join in on this as well, because you can have your opinions. So winner stays on. You got 10 tracks. So you make the choice, and you can like do something afterwards and edit the pictures in. So you just got to pick one. Which is your preference? Hungaroring, Baku City Circuit.
Hungaroring, believe it or not.
Okay. Hungaroring or Monaco.
I bet I can't give a reason.
Get yours in as well, chat.
For just for the fact I love it, Monaco. But for racing, if we're going on racing as a criteria, Hungaroring.
Is any criteria you want?
Okay, best for racing is the best one. So I'll go Hungary.
Okay.
I love Monaco though.
Hungary, Hungaroring, or Red Bull Ring.
Red Bull Ring. I didn't think I'd say that. That surprised me. That surprised me. Oh, crap.
It's going to get harder. So we've gone Red Bull Ring or Suzuka.
Again, for racing, I can't remember saying this. I'd probably say the Red Bull Ring.
Red Bull Ring or Nürburgring Grand Prix Circuit?
Nürburgring Grand Prix Circuit. Oh, come on, man, give me a challenge. Should have said that.
Really? For racing? Interesting. Yeah. Chat's disagreeing with you a bit.
Oh, they will do. They hate me.
Nürburgring GP Circuit or Silverstone?
See,
Can get worse.
The thing is with Silverstone is if we got rid of it tomorrow, I wouldn't have to listen to Crofty for 6 weeks beforehand going, Silverstone, British Grand Prix, Silverstone, British Grand Prix. For racing, no, do you know what? It has to be. I can't take Silverstone off the calendar. It has to be Silverstone. But I have a feeling you're going to be a twat in a minute. just a little feeling, Jonty. Not that I've known you.
Whatever gives you that idea. All right. Silverstone or Monza?
Monza. I actually find that quite easy because Italy, Ferrari.
Really? Okay. Yeah. All right. Monza or Interlagos?
I can only think of one track on the calendar that may be Interlagos. For racing, Interlagos all day long because you get the chaos of the weather as well. If this ends on Interlagos Spa, I'm going to cry.
Interlagos or Spa-Francorchamps? I specifically ordered them like that to be mean. I knew you would go Interlagos. Well, I thought you would. Personally, I would take Monza over Interlagos. What do you think, chat? Interlagos or Spa?
Oh, that is a further mucker.
A lot staying Interlagos.
I think the thing is Interlagos offers more variability than Spa, but Spa, like Silverstone, is so iconic and historic that it's really difficult to tell it to fuck off. But it's also going on rotation, so, you know. I will go... Ask me again. I'm going to clear my head. I'm going to do it the Phoebe way. I'm going to clear my head. You ask me, and whatever falls out of my mouth, falls out of my mouth.
Interlagos or Spa-Francorchamps?
Interlagos. Oh, no. Oh, no. Yeah. I think when you look at Interlagos, you get... The track's great anyway, so you get good racing. It's an incredible atmosphere. Even on TV, you've got the, you know, when they start singing Senna, you know, Senna, Senna. It's amazing. But then there's always the chance of the weather and a surprise, and when that which is also why it should always be the title decider. I'm interested as to why you put Monza above Interlagos, though. I'm quite, as we are, you know, Interlagos and Montreal. Me and you are always fighting their corner, and most of the community is. But
yeah, it's just something about Monza overall. I was trying personally. I was including everything about them, the racing, how iconic they are, the atmosphere, and just the visual spectacle of the racing, and just something about Monza just sings to me.
We should redo that with the criteria that it's based on the rules we have right now, because I tell you what, I bet a lot of answers change. I bet a lot of answers change if we did that.
All of a sudden, it's Red Bull, Ring of Monaco at the top. Well, we can't because there's Nürburgring in there.
We've done it. It's okay.
Well, we can't yet.
I've got to say,
who knows what happens later in the year.
Really surprised by how many people went the same way as me with Interlagos, but I am going to have to pick up on what Anthony says. Spa isn't what it once was. I love Spa.
Yeah?
It's an incredible track, but a lot of and I understand why they've had to make the changes they've made, safety and all of that, and I'm not saying that we shouldn't have done it. I'm just saying that does take some of the challenge out of it, and some of the the spectacle makes it sound like I enjoy seeing drivers having big crashes and losing their life. That's not what I'm saying, but it does take some of the edge off the track, so it's not what it once was. Losing gravel and putting in big runoffs. I mean, I'm not saying we should go back to these days, but I go back to 1999 Belgian Grand Prix weekend, Jacques Villeneuve and Ricciardo Zonta in qualifying or practice. They had the bet, can you take it flat out? Because they removed the wall on the inside and they both had huge accidents. That was dangerous.
The answer was a very, very firm no.
Dangerous, stupid, but that was part of the challenge and the spectacle. And if you could do Eau Rouge and Radion flat out in those cars at that point, you would have been an absolute hero and you'd have been on to an incredible weekend. So it rewards people that take that risk, but it can also bite very hard. So
I kind of think back to those crashes, and this might just be iffy memory or something else, but do you get the impression that the crest of Radion was kind of smoothed out a bit?
Yes.
It was less of a sharp angle over, because Zonta's in particular, it looked like he got it wrong, and then as he came over the crest, it just took off like a ramp and like didn't come down again until the gravel trap. I don't know if I'm imagining this. It had that feeling. Well, maybe it's just because of how the cars were then.
Yeah.
Because it was, once it had gone round, the diffuser becomes a wing.
Yeah, a couple of people in chat. I mean, where have we gone? Neelish, I think it was, and Anthony have both said it's just because the cars are so high downforce, it's not as difficult for the cars rather than the track itself being. But yeah, no, I mean, Eau Rouge and Radion is not the same corner it was anyway. But I want to read this quickly. Sad Mariners fan says Villeneuve still claims he won that bet because he rolled the car. Is the most Jacques Villeneuve thing you'll ever bloody hear. But yes, I do remember that. He was like, I won it because I rolled.
Yeah, maybe they should judge it like long jump, like who got the furthest into the gravel trap before they hit the ground.
Then, flip side of the coin, Red Raven says Spa is one of the very few tracks that still scares me and makes me worry. So,
yeah, I mean, I'm always kind of on edge watching it, especially if it's wet, especially for the lower formula. But, there's something absolutely right to the fact that it was kind of sanitized, but also made faster. Like, because Eau Rouge Radion, or the no-named right between them, because Eau Rouge is the left over the river at the bottom of the hill. Radion's the left over the hill. It's got an unnamed right-hander in between them. That used to be a lot tighter. It went much tighter to the left and then right. Even without the dumbest chicane in the history of all motorsport ever that they did in, I can't remember if it was in 94 or in 95. I think it was in 94, where it was, let's just put 2 bales of tyres there. That's the stupidest thing they ever did. But like some people say, it hasn't got, it still looks terrifying in top end cars like Formula One, like the hypercars in WEC, but they just take it flat as if it's nothing. If you can just take it flat like it's nothing, it's not a challenge.
What I'll do,
although
I'm not going to disagree with you, Jonty. At all on
Blanchimon actually, when watching, it's Blanchimon that actually worries me a little bit more because it's a little bit easier. They can take it a bit more flat. Cars are more likely to get side by side, and if they touch it going through Blanchimon, it's a much bigger accident than I'll ever have in Eau Rouge.
Join me back in the past. I've said this so many times. Flying Tiger says the old bus stop was great just the way it was. Yes, but not just the old bus stop. Not just the old bus stop, the camera angle as the cars approach the bus stop where they come sweeping round the corner and then have to brake. That was such a good camera angle. The old bus stop was great, and I don't know why they checked. Well, safety probably partly, but also to try and improve racing when actually the racing in Spa was arguably better back then than it is now. But anyway, I was just going to say, Jonty, if chat want to get your questions in now, we'll do Q&A. So get your questions in. Please do drop a like on the stream if you haven't already, and subscribe if you are new. I'll talk about what's coming up shortly. But I have just scrolled down in my notes and found that I missed loads out of that Nicholas Tom Bassus thing that I was talking about. I put them on the wrong page. So I'll quickly read these while you get your questions in and let Jonty react to anything I say here, and then we'll do Q&A. We'll do some... Basically, you'll ask a question, we end up where we end up. That's what we do on these streams. That is literally the point of the Wednesdays, which is why we call them the Wednesday Waffle, or I call them that. Jonty calls them, oh God, not again. F1 did eventually react at the start of the season to the issues that were encountered in the early races, with a host of emergency measures to improve energy management introduced from the Miami Grand Prix in May. Tom Bassis does, however, not think the spectacle has suffered much, and he senses encouragement from the fact that, unlike in previous rules eras, there has not been a total whitewash of dominance from one team or manufacturer. He said, quote, "Most races have been pretty exciting, I would say. There's been quite a lot of fighting. While we do have a clear advantage for one manufacturer, in the past, when we've had this at an early start of regulations, it has been very processional. And now I think Despite the fact Mercedes has been doing most of the winning, the races have nonetheless been quite exciting, with quite a lot of position changes and so on. So we need to look at the balance of things. Clearly, drivers are important stakeholders in the sport, so therefore, I think we've done the right thing by listening to them a lot and taking actions, but I think we also need to think about the spectators as well, and that they want to see changes and exciting races and so on. Quite a lot of position changes. Yes, I agree. There have been. How many of those have been legitimate overtakes? Or even before we get into the argument again, Jonty, even just similar to the old DRS passes? And how many are because someone's run out of energy out the final corner in China and they're passed before the start-finish line? I don't think you could use quite a lot of position changes as a defence for these regulations, given the reason those position changes happen. But I do agree with this point about how, yes, Mercedes are top of the drivers, yes, they're top of the constructors, yes, they've won most of the races, but it hasn't felt as dominant as, say, Max Verstappen, or, I mean, pick a year, second part of 2022 or 2023, or as dominant as Michael Schumacher or anything like that. So he has got a point there. I just don't like the quite a lot of position changes defence, because that's the kind of thing that is coming from F1's PR, which is not necessarily true.
Yeah, well, we've heard this from them before. Again, going back to the sprints, we had Domenicali's statement after the first or second year of them, when they'd done a great big poll over whether fans like them or not. Yeah, and said it's quite clear that fans are overwhelmingly in favour of them. It's like, no, because you had one very positive option, one very negative option, one slightly negative option, and two slightly positive options. There was no middle. So they just added the three together and went, oh, look, it's more. Like, no, that's not how it works. You're just fudging the numbers to get the answer you want, which is arguably a very, very Domenicali thing to do.
Yeah.
This reeks of that.
It's also...
You're just using stats to say a good race.
There's that. But there's also, oh, here I go, the contradiction in what they're saying. And it's what's really annoying me. But, you know, it's annoying me more than the rules are annoying me, quite frankly, is the FIA coming out and F1 coming out saying these rules are going to be great. It now turns out they knew they weren't going to be. But then they're saying they're going to be great. Everyone's saying they're not. Right, okay, fine. So like you say, they fudge the numbers, but then you get PR stuff and the people on the payroll going, oh, this is fantastic. It's the best F1 has ever been. This is incredible. And Stefano Domenicali coming out going, oh, the fans love it. They're universally loved, which is why we made tweaks before Miami. We're making tweaks for 2027. We're making tweaks for 2028. And we should have tweaked them before this season. That's how good these regulations are, apparently. They've got multiple tweaks for them. So they're clearly not perfect, are they? Stop talking like they're this wonderful thing. That's the bit that annoys me more than anything, because anybody with a pair of eyes, or dare I say two brain cells to rub together, is able to see that what Formula One are saying or FOM are saying and the reality, it's not matching up. You can't say these are great, we love them, people enjoy them, and then say, but we're going to make 3 tweaks over the next 3 years. Quite substantial changes as well. I mean, next year's aero's changing again. We've got the power unit changes for next year and again for 2028. And then we're getting new rules for 2031 that the FIA president is talking about being completely different to what we have now and going back to a V8. So how does all this PR marry up with the reality? It doesn't. So just, I'd have so much, and I know that they've got to think about the bottom line, like we say, and I know they've got to think about the business, but it would just be really nice if Stefano Domenicali would come out and say, do you know what? I don't think these are terrible, but they're not perfect and we've got a lot of work to do, but I think there's potential there, or something like. I'd have more respect for him saying that than coming out and trying to, I'm going to use the word, I hate using the word because I think it should be reserved for very serious crimes, but it's a word that everyone uses. It's almost like they're trying to gaslight people, and it annoys me. It really winds me up. But that's it, really. Sorry, Jonty, just screaming and shouting at you.
No. Well, I do it more often than you, let's be fair.
You do, to be fair.
Yeah, but there's nothing wrong in what you've said. Because it's exactly what they're doing. PR is just a synonym for BS.
Yeah. I'm writing that down. PR is just a synonym for BS. Anyway.
And I guarantee every single PR executive in the entire world would say, yeah, that's my job.
And that's not to say that the rules, like I say, are terrible. I don't think what they're saying again marries up to what we're seeing and their actions. It's a bit like the FIA documents we're getting now on penalties, where they'll put a paragraph explaining why they're giving the penalty, and then the next paragraph they completely contradict what they just said, and then they come to a conclusion that doesn't make any sense at all, and you go, sorry, why have you given...
Yeah.
So Lewis Hamilton was not... They saw Lewis Hamilton as not having any fault, really, in the incident with George Russell at Spa, but they found him wholly to blame. Like, hang on a minute, which is it? You can't be both. Piastri, well, he shouldn't have been there in the first place, should he? Well,
the Piastri-Leclerc one was the worst of that. Like, he wasn't intentionally forced off. But yes, he was.
But he shouldn't have been there, Jonty. He should never have been there.
I can't remember how they worded it. Like, he had every right to be there. He was alongside. I think my brain has blocked out how they worded it. It was so inane. But Mishkin the Nomad makes a good point. Just saying, I think their audience is different. They're talking to Twitter.
Oh, God, yeah. Toxic hellhole. Oh, my God. Bots and... just misery. That's what Twitter's become. Remember the good old days? I know you'll say blue skies like that now, but the good old days when you used to be able... I mean, people might remember in chat, but we used to be able to go on Twitter and have conversations publicly and not fear that someone's going to come in and start abusing us for no reason. It was great. It was fantastic. Sorry.
Yes, thank you, Fuds. That was it. That was the thing with the Piastri-Leclerc one where they were arguing he wasn't fully alongside at the apex. It's like, it's in the straight before the corner. It doesn't have an apex. They just got to the braking zone. And he's pushed up onto the dirt. It's like, that's not the corner, guys.
I do know as well, Red Raven and All Wheel Dingus are making a point that, first of all, Red Raven called him Diabolicali. That's fantastic. But Red Raven and All Wheel Dingus have both made the point they are talking to their shareholders and investors rather than the fans. But then that information comes out to us. If that information stayed in those meetings, we wouldn't react. You know, we're reacting to, all right, you tell your investors this, but if your investors were genuinely interested in the sport and not the bottom line, which I know they probably aren't, then they'd be able to see right through that, and we as fans can see right through it. So it comes out as a conversation in a call with investors or sponsors or whatever, but that then gets into the public domain and it gets reported on, and then that then becomes PR because that ends up getting pushed by Sky and whoever else. So yeah, but I still yeah, you're right. We don't matter in the conversation. I tell you what, Red Raven's right. We don't matter in the conversation. And I tell you what, here goes like, Hovis music, please. When you're me, who's been watching for 30 odd years, and Jonty has been watching, I mean, since the first Grand Prix.
Shouldn't this be our song from Radio 1?
Yeah, it should be. But they don't really give two shits about me and Jonty or any of you that have been watching a long time. They only care about the future, which I have no problem with them focusing on growing the fan base, but don't alienate your existing audience, because when your fair weather fans have all disappeared, you're going to be left with nobody. But anyway, questions in chat. Get them in now. I'm just going to read a couple that I've written down from... I say written down, I've typed down because I can't write anymore because I just type everything. From the post section. We did cover the one about sprints. We've done that one. We also did Anthony's as the main thing. We've talked about what MSC Bylaws wants to talk about, the FIA's comments about manufacturers. We've done that one. So 7 Blue Dragon 7 says, which rules would you like to see changed apart from this engine regulation? Mine would be changing tyres on a red flag besides rain, and a proper penalty every time there is an unsafe release. I am tired of seeing cars side by side in the pits with a danger to the people working there. I'll let you go first on that one, Jonty, because I need to drink after that ranty, rambly thing I just did.
Lollipop. It's my answer to that. Lollipop. I know it's the tech advanced solution that they're using now, but Lollipop reduces it significantly. It won't get rid of it. We had those accidents beforehand. but it would certainly reduce it significantly. I completely agree on the tyre changing and red flags. Gosh, what year was it? Was it
Monaco?
Yeah, 20... might have been 12.
I think it was 12. It was Vettel, Button, Alonso, wasn't it? Top three, or the other way around?
Yeah.
Vettel, Alonso, Button.
It was like a full-on ninja brawl at the end of a movie kind of fight. It was absolutely insane. Then there was a red flag with like 3 laps to go. It wasn't much.
It wasn't many laps, no.
Maybe 3 or 4 laps, and they changed tyres and it was just gone.
Yeah.
That could have been one of the greatest finishes to any race we've ever seen, and it just got thrown in the bin because, you can change tyres now, it's a red flag.
Because Seb was trying to not stop, wasn't he? He was trying to stretch his tyres as far as they could go, and it was like, are they going to last? Are they going to blow? Or
Button had taken the gamble to stop and been passing people like a maniac and caught right back up. And Alonso was kind of sandwiched in the middle, trying to pass and also trying to not be passed. It was awesome.
I would allow red flag tyre changes, except obviously besides rain, this is irrelevant. But I'd allow the red flag tyre changes, but it doesn't count as your mandatory stop. So you can change them if you want, but it doesn't count as your mandatory stop because you've not pitted. You've just changed all those conditions. The other rule I'd like to see change, which is kind of something I felt should have been the case anyway, when the rule came in for double yellows, but given the events at some of the recent races and qualifying sessions, I think the rule around double waved yellows in quali should change. And if you go through any yellow flag zone, double, single, irrelevant, your lap time is deleted. Because even under a single yellow, you shouldn't be pushing anyway. So I think just if you go through the yellow flag zone, single yellow, double yellow, whatever, your lap time's deleted, not just the double. That's what I would change. I'm not George Russell's #1 fan. That's probably partly influences that one. That's for sure. But yeah, there's that one, and there was one I had years ago. I think I wouldn't mind changing the point system to be half the grid. So we'd have points down to 11th at the minute, and if we get another team, we go points down to 12th. So we get half the grid scoring.
Yeah, that's reasonable.
Everybody.
It's just neater, I think. Like 11 places getting a win isn't neater, but half the field is.
Yeah,
it does make some sense. On the yellow flag thing, a lot of people don't like this opinion and argue, but there are situations when it's something minor and they can just do a single yellow. No, bollocks. Safety comes first. Get rid of single yellow flags. It is a yellow flag or it isn't, and a yellow flag means slow down significantly. Be prepared to stop. End of story.
People in chat
all of these problems is immediately gone.
Yeah, that's what I mean. That's what I'm saying. The whole debate around George Russell's pole position disappears because his lap time's deleted. The conversation, I just think it just solves the problem. I was just going to say, people in chat said if we drop points to 11th place, Hulkenberg is going to score so many points. It was Monaco 2011, by the way, was the one we were thinking of.
2011?
The year before.
2011 had some special races, didn't it?
It did. Was it 2011 that we had that epic Australia?
2010.
That was 2010. We'd had a bit of a flat Bahrain, hadn't we?
Yeah. Yeah, because they'd used the endurance circuit.
Yes.
They'd used the endurance layout, and it was one of the worst, most boring F1 races you'll ever see. Because all people could do was look after their tyres because there were so many bloody corners. Actual corners. Not like Jeddah, which is 4 corners, but they call it 20.
Do you know, going back to what Red Raven said earlier about how Spa's the one that makes him nervous, Jeddah still makes me cringe.
Yeah. Oh, God,
terrifying.
Mixed crashing qualifying.
Yeah.
I cannot... Whenever they race it... and I know they did do some changes to the wall, but not there. That crash can still happen, and my brain will not let go of the idea of, what if that happens in the race? What if someone has that crash at the front of the pack in the race? First lap, cold tyres, heavy fuel, they're all pushing and squabbling. Someone on the front row has that crash. That's serious risks to life with that many piling in at that speed. Because no one has that reaction time. It's horrible.
Sad Baroness fan says, bring back Hakkinen raising his hand to acknowledge the yellow. but never lifted. Just went.
It
Yeah,
was
I've seen it.
even
Whatever.
worse. Yeah, I'm still at full speed with my foot flat to the floor, but I'll take one hand off.
All-wheel dingus, it's worth mentioning this one. Says the Saudi Grand Prix hosted by Hockenheim. Not that your other comments aren't worth mentioning, I should say, all-wheel dingus, but just that one particularly.
I'd take that.
Because the Saudi Grand Prix hosted by Hockenheim, the other thing that's happening at the moment is conversations around the end of the season, which sounds like we're hurtling towards Imola as the season finale on the 6th
I've done some research.
December. I know what you're going to say, but I'm going to let you say it because I think I might have done the same research, but I'll let you have it, John, so you can have the glory.
Yes, well, I made a point of looking up some of the average weather things at Imola in December. The average high temperature is 8 degrees Celsius. So that's, what, 45 in old money? 45, 43 maybe in Fahrenheit. And 1 degree low temperature. 1. It's usually drier. It doesn't get as much rain, but it can have snow. Mornings are frequently frosty. Like, this can't happen.
Make it a sprint weekend.
Like, yes, with the timing of Vegas, it gets really cold. But it's desert cold. It's still dry. And there's still residual heat during the day. From during the day with the sun baking down on it. Not in Europe.
No.
We've had this fiasco before when they've tried stuff like this. When they tried doing testing in Spain really early and got snow. When they tried doing testing in Silverstone and got snow. Christ, the snow in Spain wasn't that long ago, was it?
No. Well,
it's like 2019?
Yeah, I mean, fairly long ago, but not, not in the grand scheme of the existence of the universe.
Right. Don't get me wrong. I'll still happily watch it if it happens because it'll be an absolute disaster.
But
I mean, temperatures that low, they can't even keep the C5s warm for much.
No. I mean, there's not really any more news on that other than what we talked about a couple of weeks ago in Hungary, but there has been a talk about next season because I raised a concern here, and Stefano Domenicali has said there's effectively a plan A and a plan B. Plan A is Bahrain and Saudi will start the season, I would assume, but they have got a plan B, and they are talking to Hockenheim, Sepang, Imola and Barcelona about hosting a race next year if they have to call off Bahrain and Saudi early on. I would take all of them back over the two that we've got, but can I just say, why can Formula One never be, and I know it's contracts, but why can they never be proactive? Why can't they say, right, there is a very good chance that we're going to have to delay the start of the season or cancel those first two races. So what we're going to do instead, and I know this may be too much common sense, is we're going to shuffle the back end of the calendar. We're going to have Vegas, then a week off, then a double header of Bahrain and Saudi Arabia, then a week off, then a double header of Qatar and Abu Dhabi. That gives you a whole year before you even have to think about calling those races off, and it just makes so much more sense than messing about, because I'm willing to bet, and I'm feeling confident in saying this, if you can't do Qatar and Abu Dhabi at the end of November, beginning of December, things aren't going to settle down enough for you to do Bahrain and Saudi Arabia in March. I'm sorry.
No.
And you can't trust any of the people involved in that without getting into geopolitics anyway, not to change their mind on a whim. So let's start the season in Australia, China, Japan, and then if you need to slot in Sepang or Imola or Barcelona or Hockenheim at the end of the season, then you've got your options there and you've got plenty of time to work it out with them. Also, test in Barcelona. Problem solved. Done. But then I don't have all the contracts in front of me, so I don't know. I don't know what they've got to deal with there. But yeah, money. Yeah, money is the reason. Exactly.
Yeah, because they can't. As much as I am 100% behind getting Hockenheim back on the calendar for whatever reason, you can't slot it in too early in the year because you've got the same problem as Imola late in the year. Hockenheim in March. That's still very, very cold. It's still very, very wet.
Good. I also, and I know they haven't used it for a very long time, but I'm also all for Hockenheim on the old layout with these regulations. Then watch Twitter explode, and then watch Stefano Domenicali try and tell us that everything's fine, because that'll be hilarious.
Like putting 4 cars on the same track of Scale Electric.
Yeah. Eddie GF800 and at a David PT, because I only get your ats now, I don't get your real names, so you're all just handles to me now. I'm going to put these two together because Eddie says, discuss how to better have penalties match the infraction. And David says, after the Monaco penalties debacle, should the way penalties are served be changed from a mini stop and go to outright time added at the end of the race? This way, if there is some mistake from the stewards or the FIA, the mistakes can be fixed. Basically, as an example, instead of having a current default 5 seconds served during pit stops, make the minimum a 10-second time added on penalty at the end of the race. My answer to the penalties matching the infraction, I actually think we're reaching a point now where the FIA are going to need to drop their we don't judge this on the outcome stance, because it's becoming quite clear to me that often they do. And I think there are certain incidents on track where, perhaps controversially, I think actually certain things do need to be judged by the outcome.
Yeah. Yeah, they do, definitely.
So... yeah,
we've seen instances of the same. Sorry, I'm butting in.
No, go on.
But we've seen plenty of examples of, 2 drivers come together. One's clearly at fault. But the other driver carries on. The one gets a 5-second penalty. Then a different race, we see the exact same incident. One driver goes off to the gravel out of the race, and the driver doing it still gets a 5-second penalty.
Yeah,
that's not fair. In anyone's book, I would hope.
I'm biased towards that one, Anthony. My feeling to that is, yes, it should have been a bigger penalty, but I also don't want to open that can of worms. So if people are watching this on chat replay later, you know what Anthony said. If you're not, then you'll have to guess. It was about cake or something. But yeah, the penalty debacle in Monaco, I think I just saw somebody in chat say it. Fudd said, the main thing I want with penalties is much less investigated after the race. Yes. I will take that on the last lap. I will take that with 5 laps to go. I will not accept that 5 laps into the race. You investigate it there and then. And I think...
yeah.
The Monaco thing, I think the point that David's making is right. I think there needs to be... if not changing the penalties themselves, there needs to be a mechanism within the regulations that allows the FIA to go back. And I know it would cause problems, but they should be able to go back and say, that was a mistake that we've made, or that was an issue with the sensor, or whatever the reason was behind the Monaco stuff in detail. And then they can make changes, because I don't know, because it's really difficult. This is why I wouldn't want to be a steward, because... so George Russell, for example, right, Monaco, what we're talking about him specifically, right, or Monaco specifically, George Russell's hefty penalty was because he didn't serve his first penalty. So
yeah,
you couldn't go back and remove that first penalty, because then you'd have to remove the second penalty, but the second penalty was justified. Even if the first penalty wasn't, the second penalty was because he didn't serve the first one. So you end up getting crossed up in wires, and we're going to get 32-page documents that cross themselves up in knots and they're getting a sweat. But I can't, I've thought about it a lot since Monaco, or the weeks after Monaco. Nothing I seem to be able to come up with rectifies that situation. Because then you've got the problem that, is it going to take days for the FIA to reach the decisions? But then is there an argument that if we reach the right decision, it doesn't matter if it takes days? I'm not sure what to do with the Monaco thing. The FIA need to have mechanisms to have the flexibility to remove penalties, but how can you remove penalties? Because you remove a 5-second penalty from somebody. So let me give you an example. I'm getting crossed up myself now, but let me give you an example. So George Russell gets a 5-second penalty in Canada. Oscar Piastri's 2 seconds behind him, 2 laps to go. The team say, don't go for it. George has got a penalty. Don't risk the car. Bank the points, right? Yeah, we're racing, overtake him, get on with it. But the team might make that call. Then afterwards, Russell gets his penalty and falls behind Piastri. But then the FIA say, actually, no, that wasn't fair. And then he's back in front of Piastri again. The fact that George had a penalty impacted Piastri's race and impacted his decision-making, his tactical decision-making. So is that fair on Oscar? I can't really explain what I'm getting at. My head's doing 3 things.
No, I get what you're getting at.
But then should Oscar just grow a pair and make the move?
It's removed the agency of drivers around them.
Yeah. That's exactly it.
It's completely got rid of any chance to counteract that.
Yeah.
Like the team could be saying, we're not sure if he's going to keep this penalty or not, so keep attacking. Then if it gets, quashed after the race, Oscar was still pushing and had managed to get ahead. But if they're doing these things sort of almost on a whim afterwards, or a result of an appeal or this, that, and the other, then Oscar's been screwed. He never had a chance to attack and try and deal with it. Yeah, it's really. I mean, the thing with Monaco is the easiest way to get around that is to not have complete absolute muppets putting where the bleeding speed sensors are and ignoring basic physics equations that you learn when you're 7 years old.
I feel like I've been told off.
Time.
Sorry, I didn't mean to put it there.
Distance, time. If distance shorter and time same, speed quicker. Yeah, it's the most basic thing. I still don't understand to this day how they managed to screw that up. It was so obvious drivers are going to straight line that. It's what they do at every single pit lane. It just so happens to be that the detection was before the bendy bit than after. Like, look at Baku, for example, where they have to go through the little chicane when they're coming in. And then you get the speed line. But this was the speed line as it's still around a corner. It's the most simple thing. And I'm not exaggerating. Equation for speed you learn in year 7 in the UK. Pretty much your first or second physics lesson that's one of the things you go into because it's part of all Newton's laws and whatnot. Momentum, movement, blah, blah, blah. How is Formula One getting that wrong? Seriously.
But Red Raven, and look, Red Raven says, I get what you mean. Now, first of all, I'm taking that as a win. Thank you. But says, and absolutely right again, as Red Raven often is, but as long as it's clear that a risk exists, the penalty might be withdrawn, it should be a factor in the driver and the team's decisions. Exactly. So, yes, he's got a penalty, but that could be withdrawn, Oscar, to make the move. So, yeah, you're absolutely right. But I can't really, I'm trying to, one thing I will say is not every single bloody thing needs to be noted or investigated. Sometimes in racing, there's going to be contact. Sometimes in racing, shit happens. Not everything needs to be investigated. We don't need penalties for everything. I'm still of the view, and it can't be British bias because they're both British, so don't start. I'm still of the view that Leclerc on Piastri in Belgium was a penalty. Hamilton on Russell wasn't. I think Hamilton Russell was a first lap thing. But there you go. That's the way I look at it. But yeah, it's
and. Now it's just come to mind. I'm not sure why for whoever said it. Something reminded me. There's one rule with penalties that I would overhaul and change.
Same stewards.
Full start. Moving before the light. Every single time that a car moves but comes to a complete stop before the light, they've already disadvantaged themselves.
Yeah.
There is nothing to give a penalty for. Proper jump starts, yeah, absolutely. Being outside your box, absolutely. Bottas in 2018, 19, when he was literally moving, penalty.
Maldonado in Spa that year, if you remember that one.
That was 2012. That ultimately caused the massive kerfuffle because he did a super lightning start and caused everyone to scatter. And then all of that got pinned on Grosjean. Grosjean did a very, very stupid thing, but he was kind of pushed into it. People ignore that.
Yeah. And again, stewards at every race, same stewards every race. Have your same 6 stewards go, an uneven number, 5 or 7, so there can't be a tie. And then they can vote on.
And again, I've made this point on this channel before. I know it's very difficult. I appreciate that it's very difficult to have a much more recent driver who may have experience closer to today.
Yes.
But I think it's massively important. Look at some of the stewards we have. Derek Warwick, Emmanuel Pirot. great sports car drivers in their time, absolutely abysmal Formula One drivers. And the last Formula One car that Derek Warwick drove had a manual gearbox. What does he know about driving these current cars? The loads that are on the driver, everything they have to do. It's not just turning a wheel anymore. Yeah, it goes back to the gentleman's short view back to the past question. That's, Christ, what's that, 12 years old now?
Oh, God, don't.
Maybe longer?
Don't.
The point's even more relevant now. And whilst, yes, the driving standards, the racecraft side of it, sure, they've got a bit, a lot more input than someone like I would have. But take someone like one of the top F1 esports drivers, they're going to have more valuable input into what the driver's having to do than, Le Mans race winner Emmanuel Pirro. It sounds insane, but I genuinely believe that's true. Because he knows a lot more about the things you're having to do on the wheel, instead of just press a button to talk to pits. I think it's hugely important. The closest we've got is Liuzzi. But you know who could do it? Karen Chandok could do it. He's driven a dozen of these cars. Martin Brundle could do it. He's driven 50 of these cars. Sure, it's not in a race, but he has a lot more experience of what they're having to do.
Jensen Button.
It's a personal bugbear. Vettel!
No,
Button, again, I've said before, probably the last of the gentleman race drivers. Because he was almost always really fair, and there may be something behind the scenes we don't know, but comes across as a nice guy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And appreciates racing in its fairness. So I'm being stared at.
Hang on a minute. I'll not read that one. Sighted Canvas says, how's the Korean circuit? I can answer that to a point, because I saw something the other day on it. To give you an idea as to how the South Korean circuit is these days, it has if you go to the Google Images or Google Earth and you look at it, it still has F1 Korean Grand Prix written on the side, painted on the side of the track.
In the good logo.
It hasn't been, in the old logo. It hasn't been touched. It is exactly as it was when we left it, which is a real shame because I actually thought that was a good track. But I think somebody said on socials that they had a look at how all these houses in this city they were going to build around it have come along, and it turns out it hasn't, somewhat unsurprisingly, and everything's kind of been abandoned, which is such a shame. So if I ever had the money, if anyone wants to donate lots and lots of money in super chats, I would put that on my list of let's go and have a look at this abandoned racetrack and explore that, and I'd take Jonty on holiday to Korea with me, and we'd walk around the track and look at it been abandoned.
Buy one of the few completed houses and ask the government if you can have the track as a drive.
Yes.
But no, Yeongham, wasn't it? Was it
Yeongham? Yeongham. Yeah.
Great track. We had awesome races there. One was a bit of a kerfuffle disaster because of the rain. But my God, it was enjoyable.
One was a kerfuffle because of the rain. One was also a kerfuffle because a fire truck decided to drive on the track mid-race before the safety car came out because Mark Webber's car was on fire.
Best.
Charlie went mad.
Yeah. Other people have brought up India.
Yeah.
Good.
Well, that could be back for 2028.
That was a great track. As long as they sort out the absurd political side of it.
Yes.
What, you're going to charge full import duty on things that are here temporarily? You're going to charge me import duty on my suitcase on holiday? Shut up. So stupid.
Thank you very much, Lyle Bailey, for... I missed this earlier. Sorry, mate. It says, member for 7 months. Thank you for your support. Says, you're excited for the Blizzard Grand Prix Imola in December, where they might need snow chains to race. Imagine if F1 went nuts and did Brands Hatch instead. We've sort of touched on that already, mate. But thank you very much. I missed that earlier, so apologies. It's in my feed. But, no one's put the money... Oh, hang on. Here we go. Anthony's giving us... $2.79, as many true nerd will say, best dollars. It says, career, here we come. Thank you very much, mate, for your support as always. And thank you for your question, which gave us the topic for the stream. Very, very good. So yeah, Red Ravens found it on the thing.
Blue Dragon saying Turkey. Turkey's back next year.
Yes, Portimao as well. Portimao.
Terminator Turkey. I know we deride Tilke quite a bit, but he nailed that one corner. Absolutely spectacular. Triple apex. Whew.
Best dollars. Sorry. A couple more questions then from the. Well, I'll keep an eye on chat, see if you've got any more questions for us. Keep putting them in. Don't spam, but try your best to get your questions to me. But I'll read this one from Keith. Says, is the 2026 championship fight just between Mercedes and Ferrari, or will McLaren come into the picture now because they are not far off from the top two? Also, does Antonelli have what it takes to survive a full championship battle and win the title, or will it be a historic 8th title for the, Keith's words, greatest of all time, that is Lewis Hamilton? So on the first point, I think we need to calm down on McLaren. Is the first thing.
Yeah.
Crofty did it straight away after Norris won in Hungary. We talked about this on the reaction, talking about a potential title challenge. We thought McLaren were back in the game after Miami. We thought it after Suzuka as well. And they weren't really after Miami, were they? So I think we'll play it cool. I think this is between Mercedes and Ferrari. I'm not saying this because of bias. I think based on reliability issues, I think Ferrari have got a great shot this year at the Constructors. And I think they need to take it. As for the championship, I think Kimi, if that Ferrari ends up as the better car overall, I think you're looking at Lewis Hamilton has probably been able to overhaul that. But I think if things sort of continue as they are, I think Antonelli's got enough of a buffer, enough ability as a driver, even with his lack of experience, to win this title. But if you give that Ferrari, you give Lewis the best Ferrari you can possibly give him, and you don't cock up on strategy, and you don't keep checking, that's a terrifying position to be in for anybody leading the championship, isn't it? Lewis Hamilton breathing down your neck. So if basically what I'm saying is if Lewis closes that gap down, we're going to see what Antonelli's made of, because that is insane pressure. That is huge. With respect, much more pressure than George Russell breathing down your neck, or Lando Norris, even though he's a world champion. A 7-time world champion breathing down your neck with 2 or 3 races to go. We're going to see what he's made of, aren't we? But that's all hypothetical because he might yet run away with it. We'll see.
Yeah, in an ideal world, the Mercedes and the Ferrari will sort of balance out about equal car-wise. And then we'll get to see what Antonelli's really made of. With not back to his peak, but certainly back to close to his best, Hamilton chasing him down. It will prove to be one of the biggest heartbreaks, or one of the greatest first championships we've ever seen, because that pressure is insane.
Yeah. I'd be interested, because I feel like, maybe I'm wrong, but I feel like that Ferrari has been, at this point, too inconsistent. One weekend they're right in it for the win, the next weekend they're nowhere. But Lewis Hamilton's still second in the championship. So if they can sort out whatever's going on there, an evergreen statement at Ferrari, he's got a shot. But at the minute, Antonelli is clearly the favourite. But I think writing off someone like Lewis Hamilton is crazy. Do you know what? Even if Ferrari get it right and he stops being stupid, as he would put it, you can't really rule out Leclerc if that Ferrari does improve. But I think McLaren, as much as I'd love to see Piastri and Norris brought into that fight, and Verstappen as well, I think realistically it's between Mercedes and Ferrari for the constructors, and then Antonelli, Hamilton, and then maybe to a lesser extent Russell and Leclerc for the title.
Yeah, well, it was just Hungary was something of an example of Kimi being up for the challenge, because I've seen many people say it. That was a championship-winning drive. That was maximising a not perfect weekend. Those are the races that win championships.
Yes.
Running away at the front with God knows how many seconds gap. Yes, obviously they get the most points, but they're not defining races of championships.
No. Maximising the result, the best result you could possibly get in a weekend where you're not the best or the best car. Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
1995. I think it was 90. I'm sure it was 95. Schumacher, when he only had 5th. He only had fifth gear. Even his own engineers didn't believe him. Benetton, until they took the gearbox apart and went, "Oh crap, yeah, he was telling the truth," and still brought it home like fourth, I think, or fifth.
Yeah. Oh, Schumacher.
That's the kind of rate.
I'm happy now. Schumacher.
It's the kind of race. I may be wrong. My brain is saying 95. It might not be.
Thank you very much to Sab Mariners fan, who's not from Grimsby, for the super chat. Really appreciate that, mate. Thank you so much. We're on our way to Korea. We're going, Jonty. We've got $22. We're getting there, mate. Says, do you think moving to 57-43 IC battery split will help the regs next year, or will it still be yo-yo racing? Also, Max called these regs being bad in 2024, and everyone said he was whining about not having the best car anymore. On that last part, again, thank you very much for your super chat, mate, and your continued support. On that last part, Russell was saying the same, and no one said he was whining because he didn't have the best car. People just like to have a pop at Max all the time. And yes, I'm being defensive of him. I'm not saying you're having a pop, just saying. Do I think the 57... No. I think it might improve things. It will. So I guess to answer the question directly, will it help the regs? Yes. Will it be enough? No, which I think is why we're getting the 2028 ones as well. But these regulations aren't 50-50 anyway, are they? They're not split 50-50. So actually this tweak for next year, I think is only like 2 either way or something like that. I don't think it's a massive change you're expecting. What's going to make next year, in my opinion, more interesting is these aero changes we've got coming in that nobody was expecting, that kind of caught everyone off guard because they're bigger than people thought, and they can have a big impact on the racing. So I think that's going to be more impactful than that tweak, but the changes for 28 on top of all of that we've already had might be the solution. But again, going back to what we said earlier, if the changes for 27 and 28 are the solution, why are we looking at going to V8s for 2030 or 2031? You know, so maybe that's just Mohammed Ben Sulayem politically posturing. I don't know, but we'll see is the boring answer. But I'm not convinced that next year on the engine side will be much better. But then maybe wrong. But then the Miami tweaks weren't much, were they, on paper? And they did make a difference. So,
but that's tweaking what they've already got.
Yeah, true.
For it might seem small, but going to 57-43, that's a much bigger change, and that would presumably require a bigger fuel tank. There's that much more power coming from the ice. That means more fuel, which means a bigger fuel tank, which means more weight, which means the cars are a bit heavier again, which is again going against half the point of doing this. Ignoring the fact that just going to a straight naturally aspirated engine would be half as light. Well, but they can't see that obviousness.
You've been banging that drum for years. You were saying it on this channel and on social media when we had the turbo hybrids. You want a cheaper engine. You want a lighter engine. Go back to what we had. Get rid of these expensive turbo hybrids. Yes, the old V8s used to blow up a lot, but didn't we get to like 5 engines a season back then anyway under the V8s?
We got to 4.
So what? You know, you've gone for more expensive, and we know why they're doing it, but it just, Anyway,
we went. I mean, with the naturally aspirated engines, we went from no restriction to an engine must last 3 races. Or even 2 races, I think it was the first one. Then 3 races, and then eventually down to 4 engines a season in the space of like 10, 12 years. And then that side of the development has basically stood still. You know, the longevity and reliability of it.
I'm going to read some from chat because I want to keep the chat involved as well as looking at these ones I've got written here from people. But fill in the blanks says, I don't believe in the Lewis Championship hype train. The guy makes too many mistakes now. Charlie's underperforming and still finishing ahead of Lewis. Kimi's form is the best. I don't think anyone's denying Kimi's form. I mean, Kimi's form. I just again, I don't know if you've heard it on the channel already, fill in the blanks, but you go back to the start of the season, back to testing, and it looked like Mercedes had the best car. Everybody was going, George will cruise this championship. George will cruise it. And actually, Kimi is. I know George has been unlucky and had some problems with his car, and we know, but then so's Kimi. But he really has impressed me this year so much. His form's fantastic. I love Kimi Antonelli. He's Italian. I love Italians. I can't wait for him to be in a Ferrari one day. Throwing that out there. And I think he's fantastic, and I think he's I didn't buy the hype around him when he first came in, but you could see he had talent. I just didn't think he was ready, and you could still argue that last season he wasn't ready at times, but my God, has he shut a lot of people up this year. But then obviously helps having a very good car as well. But then I've seen that debate crop up on Twitter this week, somebody saying something along the lines of Kimi Antonelli's championship will be one of the worst of the century because he's got the best car and no challenge for his teammate. And I'm going to tell you what I did. I blocked him because I was like, do you know what? I am so sick of this. It's only because he's got the best car argument. Yeah, so did Senna. So did Prost. So did Schumacher. So did Hamilton. Verstappen won titles in the best car. So let's take all the titles away from people who have won in the best car, shall we? And all of a sudden, all these superstars that we call heroes, not quite so good, are they? So it's just absolute nonsense. Vettel only won titles because he had a newly designed car. Oh no, well then so did Hakkinen. Schumacher only won because he had a Rory Byrne designed car and had Ross Brawn on side. Lewis Hamilton only won titles because Bottas was moving out of his way. Let's just make lots of shit excuses up for people winning championships rather than just going, that driver did an incredible job, well done. So many factors in play in Formula One. It's not just about having the best car. You've still got to beat everyone around you, and you've still got to get that car to the end of races. I mean, you put I can't be asked. Anyway, yes, Senna drove against Prost. He did,
and
but,
the point is that the best drivers get to the best cars because they show that they're the best drivers. Some of them are really, really smart. They're good drivers and also very clever. Juan Manuel Fangio specifically moved to the best cars each year because he'd already proven himself as one of, if not the best drivers, and wanted more titles. He went, look, this is what I can do. You've got the best car. Let's make a deal. So it works. I'm genuinely racking my brain to think of more than two or three titles that weren't the best car. And it's difficult. Like Lauda 84. Was it 84? I think it was 84. His third title in the McLaren. That wasn't the best car. He didn't get pole position all year. He's the only driver to have ever won a title with no pole position. An argument can be made for 21, but I think the cars are pretty equal. 2009, for the second half of the year, the Brawn was absolutely not the best car. The Red Bull was, by a fair gap by the end of the year. There are some of them out there.
Just trying to
2007.
2007.
Kimi won. McLaren was definitely the best car. They just kind of screwed each other.
Well, that was the point I was making about last year with McLaren. They just seem to be trying to McLaren the title away, and that's what they've done so many times. But they've also won titles. But you
say Jones and the Wolf, but he got his title in the Williams.
I'm going to read this, and I don't want you to respond, Jonty. I just want to annoy you. I'm going to go straight into the next point after this because I need to just gloss over it straight. Anthony said hybrid was a play at being road relevant. Sam Mariners fan says Ford makes an NAV8, Cadillac makes an NAV8, Mercedes and Audi both make turbocharged V8s. They're still road relevant. There you go. Answers that one. They could easily get rid of the mild hybrid type of system that relegates the electrical system to supplement the ICE, says Kevin. And I saw one for Cited Canvas, and I'm going to completely agree. We simply cannot have cars running out of power on the straights. It is unacceptable. 100%. And I don't know anything about 2021. I don't know. I can't even remember it. I just all gone. But yeah, so I'm going to keep on chat. Keep your questions and comments coming. I'm going to do some quick fire.
Try to gloss over road relevance. You're trying to gloss over road relevance.
I'm trying to do it. I'm trying to because I know
that winds me up.
Right.
But no, a lot of people will disagree. The last, let me just say it. The last true road relevance from F1 to road cars to popular, commonly available to pretty much anyone road cars is paddle shift. That goes back to 1990 1989. That's the last truly genuine track to car anyone can have. Everything else has a premium price tag to it.
That's it. Great. Quick fire. I've got 3 quick fire questions. So, Jack says, which is the best flavour of cornetto?
Oh,
it's supposed to be quick fire.
That's a tie. One. That's a tie between the strawberry and the chocolate nut.
I go chocolate and hazelnut all day long. So you could go strawberry and we've covered it. Sorted. Professional Moron says, what's your favourite film about F1, including documentaries? Senna, Rush.
Including documentaries. Killer Years.
Yeah, the Killer Years is incredible. I mean, don't watch it if you don't. Yeah,
Grand Prix.
Trigger warning. But yeah, no, it is a good documentary.
The original Grand Prix.
Yeah, I watched the Benetton documentary the other day. Not very good. Wasn't impressed by that at all. On Sky.
Was that full of illegal? Did that have illegal tech as well?
Yeah. I wasn't impressed by that. Yeah, Senna, Rush, your cliches, your usual ones. Schumacher documentary, I was a little bit disappointed by. I understand the impact that Imola had in 1994 on drivers, but I don't think a documentary about Michael Schumacher needed to focus on that as much as it did. But it did make me cry, I'll admit. Listening to Mick Schumacher talking about just wanting to have his dad watch him racing, and you're just like, I can't do it anymore.
Yeah, the Schumacher documentary felt like just a love letter to him, if that makes sense. It wasn't really about sort of any of the sport history or anything. It was very much about him as a person, as well as a driver, and the impact it's all had on his family and everything, as opposed to a documentary of the sport.
Yeah. Oh God. I know it's not a documentary, it doesn't count, but do you know what I do really miss sometimes? Murray and Martin's Christmas specials, when they'd sit in front of a fire and they'd talk about the season just gone on ITV. It's not a documentary, it's not a film, but I really miss them. We need proper stuff like that again.
Yeah. I have seen on Prime Video, there is so many different motor racing documentaries. There's tons.
Brawn.
And some of them are really good.
The Brawn documentary was fantastic.
Keanu Reeves is one. That was awesome.
Yeah. I haven't seen the Prost one. I saw the...
No, I haven't.
What's the one on the BBC?
I've seen the Hill one on Sky.
Yes, that was good. I enjoyed that. Take your pick, really.
Yeah.
There's a lot of good ones out there. I got the Williams documentary, quite good as well. That was on Sky, might be a BBC one. That was good.
It had its issues.
F1 though, so yeah.
It did have its issues because
so Williams. But...
I did think I left the Williams documentary thinking, Frank, you were a bit of a prick.
Yeah, but didn't we know that? Like respect as respectfully.
Yeah,
as
we kind of did do that, but we did know that. But yeah, it didn't paint him in a very nice light. Certainly as a person, as a
leading a race.
Who was his? Oh, it was Frank. Who was his? I forgot his name.
His second in command.
His second in command at Williams.
Paddy Lowe.
No, the other one. I can't remember his bloody name.
Oh, Pat Simmons.
No, the other one.
Oh, for God's sake. Patrick Head.
Patrick Head, yeah, he was a knob.
Yes, but it was his job to be.
I know, but yeah. Also, bearing in mind, a lot of my opinion of these people will be tainted by the fact that they were Schumacher's rivals when he was racing. So
yeah, obviously.
Yeah, obviously. Like I didn't like Mika Hakkinen, and I didn't like Fernando Alonso. Now I do. But anyway, Moray says, if you had to get rid of a track forever from between Silverstone, Spa, and Suzuka, what would it be? Of those three? Probably Suzuka. Toughest to race around, toughest to overtake on. But then we'd lose Spoon and 130R. But then is 130R really 130R anymore? No, it isn't, is it?
Yeah, it's kill Suzuka.
Guttingly, because I do love that
then
track.
But then you've got fuck, marry, Silverstone, Spa. That's how it works, right?
I'd marry Spa. I would. Yeah, I'd fuck Silverstone and I'd kill Suzuka. There you go. Easy. What? See, that's what that is. What does it used to be on TV? Snog, marry, avoid on TV, wasn't it?
Yeah.
That was terrible.
Yeah, but that's just a bit tame.
Yeah.
Needs to be a bit more.
I will read this one. So the Keeper of Chaos just wanted us to have a little conversation quickly about the Aston Martin situation in general. Do you think they need more time, more investment, talent poaching? Do the Strolls need to go? Things seem to be slowly improving for them, but every answer I could think of seems to end up as, no, they kind of already did that and it didn't work. But surely they can't be shit forever. So what's missing here? I think getting a better second driver would help.
Well, yeah.
Because then you've got a better input. But, yeah.
As things stand right now, we don't know. Ultimately, the massive chassis and aero changes in Hungary made a huge difference. From like 2 seconds behind the sometimes even more than 2 seconds behind the Cadillacs in qualifying. It was up to, what was Alonso? He got into Q2.
Hungary.
You know, 5th. Yeah.
I think he qualified 15th. But then he moved up a place, didn't he? Because of penalties, possibly. I might be misremembering. Yeah. It was only 2 weeks ago.
From behind the brand new team by 2 seconds to there, just from the aero reg changes. We need to see what the power unit changes bring.
Yeah.
We genuinely can't make any guesses until then. Or judgments.
I would say though that throwing money at the more investment, throwing money at the situation doesn't seem to have helped to this point. So maybe it is.
Well, there's only so much they can throw.
Yeah, but I don't necessarily agree, and I know that wasn't necessarily a suggestion, but I don't agree with the idea of the Strolls needing to go. I think Lawrence Stroll is investing in a team. You can't deny that. He's bringing the people in that he wants. Adrian Newey, Fernando Alonso, other people as well. He's doing what he thinks is best. My only thing is, I'm not one of these anti-Lance Stroll people like a lot of people on YouTube and the internet are. I agree he's not the best, not by a long way. But I do think that if you had a better second driver who could maybe offer better feedback on the car, that might help them move forward as well. But then who am I to say Stroll doesn't offer good feedback? Because one, I don't know, and two, we talk about him like an inexperienced kid, but he's been in the sport a decade next year, incredibly. So I don't know. If Aston Martin want to instantly improve, there is one change they can make. Sack Fernando Alonso, because then they'll instantly improve, because that's the look that guy has. He'll walk away, he'll get the sack, and the team will just be amazing, because the curse has been lifted.
Yeah, it's true.
Jonty.
Yeah, I mean, I was gonna say, Anthony's just saying the downfall of Honda should be studied, from winning championships to last on the grid in 2 to 3 years. I was like, which time?
Yeah, yeah.
This is like the 3rd or 4th time it's happened.
I was just going to say, Jonty, I want to just give a quick update on what's coming up over the next, well, nothing, but what's coming up after next week. Do you want to have a quick scroll through the chat and see if you can find anything that we could pick up to finish off on while I just do my usual? So, thank you, I should say, Jonty. I say, please, Jonty, thank you. So, original plan, as I said couple of weeks ago, was to have something out, one thing out each week during the summer break. That I'm going to fail at, I'm afraid. We have this today, first week of the summer break, so I stuck to that. However, next week I've picked up an extra shift to earn some more pennies, because I really want to make sure I can get this channel to, I think I can get to the middle of January financially, so that's what I want to do. So I've picked that up, so that loses me a day next week. But also, I made the genius decision during the summer break that I am going to rip out my entire setup that you see here, clean the room, redecorate it entirely, and that's going to take me much of next week to do. So I thought I'd get that done in the summer break, make this a nicer space to be in if I'm going to basically live in here from September to the end of the year and for the rest of eternity. So I've got a lot of work to do next week, and I've got a bathroom to decorate as well, apparently, I've been told. But anyway, I might forget that one. But yes, so there won't be anything next week unless there is something earth-shattering, and then I might have to record something in a corner somewhere under a box, so the audio's not too bad, but we'll see. But yeah, nothing next week. But I am 100% back full time from Zandvoort preview. So preview for Zandvoort, definitely live for the sprint race, qualifying, and the race reaction. Probably live for sprint qualifying. Possibly going to give the warm up a go as well. So yes, nothing last week, nothing next week, but brace yourself because you're going to be sick of the sight by the end of September. So yeah, there's going to be lots to come. So apologies for next week, but it is a summer break, and I think people can forgive content creators if they go quiet. I'm not going to say that, actually. We'll walk away from that one. But yes, so lots to look forward to is what I'm saying. But yeah, this will look all very different next time you see the setup, and I can't go back because I've ordered it all and paid for it. So, and it cost me a fortune. Oh, that's what I was going to say. I spent £800 on stuff for this office. Not even exaggerating. Place the order.
Dark.
An hour later, my fridge broke.
Oh,
but you think that's bad? I'm not even exaggerating. The morning after I got sacked from Planet Sport, my washing machine broke, so I'm due one more. So let's hope that when I take all this apart, I don't break something. It could be interesting.
Well,
yeah.
let's hope that we don't have any kind of link in this way, because the year I'd started welding, which was like in the June, so by the end of it, I was actually making decent money and whatnot. We had the washing machine, cooker, and fridge all break within a week.
Ouch. Yeah.
And the cooker was on December the 23rd.
Pot noodles for Christmas dinner.
Thankfully, thankfully the electrical place in town is like really good for getting stuff done quickly. Just went in, can I have that cooker? Yeah, we're there this afternoon. Yeah. So fingers crossed that you don't have that curse.
Hopefully not. God. Jesus.
Are you going to be painting?
Yes.
And it's not going to be Magnolia.
No, it's Magnolia now. It's horrible. I hate Magnolia. I've picked up like they call it greige. So it's a neutral colour.
Fine.
But I've also considering a light sage green as well.
Yeah,
because,
another good colour.
Yeah, so
people use Magnolia because they want it basic, simple, and want it to be neutral. It's like, just make it grey then.
Or just do it white. See, I know bad for fingerprints, but good
Lord.
No,
white's a nightmare for keeping clean and stuff and glare. You don't want white in a room like that for streaming because it'll be a nightmare.
No, the lighting will be terrible. But then you're not going to see any of this anyway because that's going to be panelled. And that's going to be panelled. And then I've got shorter bookcases.
Oh, acoustics.
Yeah.
So, but then we won't see all the stuff that's in them.
Sorry, chap. Back with you in a minute. No, I'm still going to have... They'll come to here.
Yeah.
So there'll still be stuff on top, but I'm going to get a longer... I have to put stuff on top rather, because you can't see any of that anyway. You'll still see most of this underneath.
Yeah, we can. We can see your helmets and the YouTube plaque and the cars above. And
there was another 3 shelves up there.
Oh, right, okay.
Full of stuff, so yeah. Anyway, welcome to Formula Sean. We're talking about anything but Formula 1. But yeah, no, that's... yeah. Well, I could go with a waffle colour. That's a very good point. I used to have an orange bedroom. But
F1 changing rooms with Lawrence Llewellyn Bellend.
You've been in my office. It's tiny, isn't it, right? It is such a small space.
Yeah, it's not big.
So it needs to be as nice as it can be, and this desk is enormous. I'm also getting a new desktop, by the way. Not PC. I've got enough of them. I'm going to change to a wood desktop instead of this plasticky, shitty blacks thing that's just so miserable and depressing. Anyway, did you spot anything in chat, Jonty?
Worktop. No, not really.
Okay. I did see CPB says I was looking forward to listening to you and Jonty rant about the 2005 regulations. I think you did put...
There's only one problem with 2005 regulations.
What's that?
Tyres.
Oh, yeah. Well, actually, I was just going to say, I'm going to go and see if I can find the question, unless he gets there first, that CPB put forward. I'm actually on... For some reason, I'm logged into the F1 word. Should we see what's happening over there? Oh, nothing. What a surprise. Anyway.
At least you're not logging into Rafa TV.
Oh, don't. I mean, fucking put the effort in and grow your channel rather than buying your subscribers.
But it's funny.
Sorry,
it's funny.
So CPB, it's a bit of a long one because CPB loves to set me up for stuff. Says, Sean, with your tyre talk expertise and Jonty's ball knowledge on the history of F1 generally, I'm curious to know what both of your thoughts are on the 2005 rule on tyres that compromised Bridgestone and favoured Michelin. What were your thoughts initially at the time it was announced in 2005, and do you think that if these rules never came into effect, Ferrari and specifically Schumacher would have been more competitive, leading to a three-way title fight, perhaps even winning it, or were Renault and Alonso just simply the better package overall? Also, do you think that if Jarno Trulli or Mark Webber raced for Renault in 2005 2006, they would have been more or less competitive against Alonso than Fisichella was? Thanks, guys. So,
couple of issues there. One, you're expecting a completely objective opinion about that from Sean. Two, could have improved with Jarno Trulli? Question mark? Has that ever been said before?
No. Look,
there is something to it. There is definitely something to it, because that whole tyre debacle was a nightmare. That's even ignoring the Indianapolis disaster. Just the whole difference between them was pretty stupid, especially with the wet tyres.
Yeah.
But I do think that with the tricks Renault had in that car that were at the time legal, I think it just had enough of an edge.
I was just going to say, I think my memories at the time were that the Ferrari just wasn't quick enough, full stop. I don't think... Which I actually don't understand to this day, you know? Because they still had the team all together, Schumacher, Brawn, Todd, everybody that was there before. And the 2004 season was wrapped up really early. So it's not like they were focused on a title fight. So how did they get it so wrong in 2005? Yes, of course, some of that could be down to the tyres, but I'm confused as to why they got it so wrong. It's a bit like it was like when not the same thing, of course, but Mercedes at the end of their championship winning dominance or title contending ways of 2022, when the new rules came in, they got it so wrong. So wrong, and everyone couldn't believe it because it was the same people. But no one's infallible, I suppose. But yeah, I remember thinking Ferrari just didn't have the speed, but I do think Schumacher would have been more competitive if the tyre changes weren't made. We'll not go into the specifics of it. We'll maybe do that another day because we're already 16 minutes over time. Shocking. But yeah.
Yeah, I mean, obviously the tyres made a big difference, but other than that, the regs weren't massive changes from 2004 to 2005.
No.
I think what it could come down to, with knowing about the tyres and the clear differences it's caused, I think Ferrari just sort of engineered themselves out of it. We all know about the law of diminishing returns, which is very clear in Formula One, where the more gains you get, the smaller those gains are. There is a cliff that you can reach.
Yeah.
Where if you've just taken something right to that bleeding edge of performance, they go just a tiny bit further, it stops working. I think that's what Ferrari did. They just went that a little bit too far, and then were losing performance. Even if it's just a quarter of a tenth every 10 laps over a season, Christ, that mounts up.
Sorry, what laughing at you is laughing at Michael. He's been here before. So 16 minutes overtime, 30 minutes to go.
Yeah.
I was actually just going to say, because I saw Red Raven say there, get a cardboard stand-up display of Lance Stroll. I'm tempted to pay for it. I was going to say, actually, I could set up a P.O. box, and then we could have a shelf dedicated to stuff that's sent in that sits in the background for the community. Because little bit of a thing for you. You won't care, but I'm going to tell you anyway. Jonty will know. Originally, I wasn't going to call this channel Formula Sean. I was going to call it Formula United. Because one, I wanted it to be a community feel. And two, because of how I was feeling at the time, it also was FU, which was the perfect middle finger at the time. So I decided to go Formula Sean, which was just fuck's sake. But yeah, no. So we could look at... I don't know how much PO boxes cost these days. They are quite pricey last time I looked into it. But, you know... maybe we could, and then I'm not sure. I'd probably draw the line at a cardboard cutout of Lance Stroll. But
Can't be any slower.
Just an idea. Just an idea. Somebody did say about
other people do it. Other people do it. down on Crash Happy as a cardboard cutout Fernando Alonso, and Elizabeth Blackstock, I believe, still owns a life-size cardboard cutout of Will the Lad Stevens.
Oh, brilliant. Well, surely I need a Stoffel one then, surely. A Stoffel Van Dorn.
Yeah.
There you go. Buy me a stuff cutout. There you go, Red Raven. All sorted. See you soon. We are finishing in a second, Clan, so don't worry, mate. But thank you, and have a good night, and talk to you soon, mate. Talk to you for Zandvoort.
But you have to print out a plate of waffles for him to hold.
Yes. And a sign that says penalty to wrap to put around his neck. 30 plays penalty. Somebody did ask earlier, possibly in chat, about 2027 driver lineup predictions. We're not going to do it now because we do need to finish the stream, really. I've got to go have some dinner and it's 9:20. But I went through earlier very quickly. I looked at where we are now. I think there's only one seat really under threat. I don't think this is going to be the crazy silly season we expected. I think Ocon is the only one likely to move. I think I look at every other lineup and I think Russell, Antonelli probably stay. Leclerc, Hamilton is staying. Verstappen isn't going anywhere. I don't care what anyone says. Norris and Piastri are staying. There's no reason to change Lawson and Lindblad. Maybe Soloff, but you could always do that end of next season. Gasly, Colapinto. I think Colapinto's taken a step this year, so there's no reason to move him on. Hulkenberg, Bortoletto are doing fine at Audi. Albon and Sainz dealing with a terrible car, so they might get a reprieve there. Alonso apparently is already likely to be signing up for 2027. That's the latest rumour. Stroll ain't going anywhere. And Perez and Bottas, again, have got a pretty poor car with a lot of brake issues, and I think they're both doing the best they can with it. So I can't really see anybody in there that instantly jumps out apart from poor Esteban Ocon, who I think is largely unfairly judged, but I think this season has been pretty terrible. So, yeah, I don't think there'll be many changes is my point there. But we'll do that another day. We'll do it properly another day. But yes, I think we'll wrap it up there, Jonty. I think.
Yeah, sorry, the cat just ran into the door.
About right. We let Baxter off his lead the other day for the first time in a field. Never left my side. Adorable.
Oh,
just walks there alongside, never goes far.
That's boring.
Oh, but he's so.
You expect him to just go? Pew.
No.
Van!
We went exploring a quarry as well. It was quite fun, but yeah. Anyway, yeah. Thank you very much, Jonty. That was. I know we've overrun, but that was a great chat. Really. Hey, Kaori. Just as we're ending, that's good timing. As always. Hope you well. I'm well, thank you. Hope you are, Kaori. But yes, we'll wrap it up there, Jonty. Thank you so much. That was a good chat. Really enjoyed that. I know we had a topic and we wandered off, and that's what we do. Sorry we didn't get to all the questions in chat, but we could do more of these as the season progresses.
And you were doing most of the ranting, which is a nice change.
It is. Yeah. It is absolutely.
And Kiori, you now get to go and watch the VOD afterwards and go, no, you're wrong.
Yeah.
Everything we say, because well, it's the internet and that is your right.
Yes. But we love Kaori. Kaori can stay. That's fine. Yeah, thank you very much, mate. I'll let you go get on with your evening, and I will. Yeah. I mean, I might talk to you in the coming hours or days, maybe. I mean, it's not like we talk that much, is it? But yes, mate.
I won't show chat my phone.
No, don't. Don't. Yeah, I'll talk to you soon, mate. Bye.
Bye.
There we go. Thank you very much to Jonty. Thank you as well to all of you guys for tuning in to this absolute waffle fest, as the Wednesday streams are supposed to. Just again, as I said earlier, a quick reminder, nothing next week because I'm redecorating the whole office. I've got some shifts to do at work to earn some pennies, but we are back 100% full-time for Zandvoort. I have to anyway because Anthony's paid me $2.29 or whatever it was. So to be fair, I do have to go full-time now. That is my wage. So thank you very much, mate. Back full-time for Zandvoort with the Dutch Grand Prix preview, the streams across the weekend. There'll be video content between races. That'd be novel, wouldn't it? And of course, there are about 3 million races in 6 weeks to do over the next few months. And yes, you could judge my handiwork next time. It'll all look very different, and if nobody notices, I will cry because this has cost me a lot of money. It's taken a lot of effort, but yes, it's been a lot of fun. I will say as well, I would quite like to do a few more Wednesday streams more regularly once we get into the I'll talk to Jonty, but maybe every non-race Wednesday we do a stream, but I'll talk to him and see what he says. But yeah, we'll leave that for today. If you haven't already dropped a like, please do leave a like on the stream and subscribe if you are new. All that to come. Thank you so much to all my members and patrons. I've got some ideas for exclusive content for you guys, so I'll get that sorted, including a possible members and patrons live stream of me doing some video editing and waffling away, but we'll see how we go. I will quickly end this poll as well, because I forgot 83% of you say absolutely hell no to sprints every weekend, 5% fancy the idea, and 12% are not sure. Oh, that was a lot to say, but I'm going to finish it there. But as ever, sorry, mouthful of nothing, doesn't matter. But as ever, thank you for watching. I've been Formula Sean, and until next time, goodbye.